You did this to me." His voice was a ragged whisper, shredded by pain and disbelief. Theodore, my Theodore, was pale against the starched white of the hospital pillow, his handsome face contorted into a mask of agony and betrayal. The fluorescent lights of the private room hummed overhead, casting a sterile, unforgiving glow on the scene. On us, he clutched the thin blanket over his groin, his knuckles white. "Anna, how could you?" "I could have. It could be permanently damaged." I watched him, my face a perfect blank. I didn't flinch. I didn't cry. The tears had all dried up weeks ago, leaving behind something harder, colder. I simply looked at the man I had promised to love, in sickness and in health, and felt nothing but a quiet, chilling satisfaction. "You think this is bad?" I said, my voice barely audible but sharp enough to cut through his pained gasps. "This isn't the end, Theo. This is just the beginning." He stared at me then, truly stared, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. Not just pain, but the dawning horror of a man realizing the angel he married might just be a demon in disguise. How did we get here? How did the man who promised me the world, the man whose shoulder I leaned on just 1 month before our wedding, end up here, looking at me like I was a monster? It started, as these things so often do, with a perfect life, or at least the illusion of one. Just a month before the wedding, the city of Chicago was alive with the promise of summer. From our 30th floor apartment overlooking Lake Michigan, the world seemed sparkling and full of potential. I remember leaning against him on the balcony, the cool evening breeze tangling my hair. "It's almost here," I'd whispered, my head on his shoulder. "Our wedding. I don't know why, but I'm nervous, Theo." He'd wrapped his arms around me, his embrace as solid and reassuring as the city skyline. He kissed my forehead, a soft, deliberate press of his lips. "What is there to be nervous about? Your only job is to be my wife. I'll handle the rest of the world for you." And I believed him. I sank into the safety of his arms, breathing in the scent of his expensive cologne and the quiet confidence that radiated from him. Our 3-year love story was finally reaching its crescendo, a picture-perfect ending. I was an accountant at a downtown bank, a good, stable job. He was a rising star, a senior sales director at a massive tech firm, pulling in a salary that most people only dream of. We were, by all accounts, the golden couple, the handsome, charismatic powerhouse, and his smart, steady, adoring fiancé. Our families were overjoyed. My parents, especially, couldn't stop beaming. They saw in Theo a man who not only provided but cherished, and he did. For 3 years, he was flawless. He could charm a statue into telling its life story. He was beloved by my entire extended family, from my cynical aunts to my shy little cousins. There was never a whisper of scandal, never a moment of doubt. After a lavish wedding at a historic hotel on the Gold Coast, we flew to Italy for our honeymoon. He treated me like royalty. We wandered through the ancient streets of Rome, ate pasta in tiny, candlelit trattorias, and shopped in Milan until my feet ached. He carried my bags without complaint, held my hand everywhere we went, and looked at me with an adoration that made me feel like the only woman in the world. I felt so small, so protected in his orbit. The happiness was overwhelming, an ocean of bliss I couldn't see the end of. When we returned, life settled into a beautiful rhythm. Every morning, he'd drive me to the bank in his sleek, black Audi. My colleagues would watch from the window, sighing with envy. "You need to keep that one on a tight leash." Anna, Brenda, who'd been at the bank for 20 years and seen 3 husbands come and go, would tease. "I see the way women look at him when he walks down the street. You'll lose him if you're not careful. I'd just laugh, shaking my head. Oh, Brenda, you don't know Theo. You don't have to worry about me. Don't worry now. Cry later when some little tramp sinks her claws into him. Don't say I didn't warn you. I brushed it off. So many people warned me that marrying a man so handsome and successful was inviting trouble, but their words were just noise. I was cocooned in his love, his attention, his constant care. He was my husband, my fortress. I didn't pay attention to the world outside, because the world I had with him was perfect, but I didn't know, did I? How could I? I didn't know that. Out there, in that sparkling city, there were wolves, women with hungry eyes and no conscience, circling my perfect life, just waiting for a chance to tear it all down. The nature of Theo's job meant he was constantly networking, meeting clients, attending dinners, and often, by his side, was Vanessa, a junior sales associate from his team. Vanessa was 25, beautiful in a way that was both obvious and aggressive. She had seen Theo when she first joined the company and, as she later admitted, had become obsessed. She'd made her move back then, shamelessly flirting, but he'd already been with me, and he'd gently shut her down. But Vanessa wasn't the type to give up. Knowing he was engaged, then married, only made the chase more thrilling for her. She saw me not as a person, but as an obstacle she was determined to remove. One afternoon, she was scheduled to attend a client meeting with him. When he opened the passenger door of his Audi for her, a wave of heavy, floral perfume washed over him. She was wearing a dress that was less of a garment and more of a suggestion, a deep V-neck that plunged precariously low. Her makeup was perfect, her hair styled in loose, seductive waves. Theo paused, his hand still on the door. "Vanessa," he said, his voice soft but firm. "We're meeting a client to discuss a business proposal, maybe something a little more professional next time?" "This feels a bit much." She felt the sting of his words like a slap. A flush of anger and humiliation crept up her neck. But the colder he was, the more she wanted him. "Of course, Theo," she murmured, her eyes downcast. "I'll keep that in mind for next time." He said nothing more, just started the car. During the meeting, the client, a portly man in his 50s, couldn't keep his eyes off Vanessa's chest. He'd stare, then swallow hard, a pathetic little bead of sweat on his upper lip. Theo acted as if he didn't notice. Vanessa, however, was squirming. "God, what a creep," she thought. "If only it were Theo looking at me like that." At one point, Vanessa excused herself to go to the restroom. The moment she was gone, the client leaned in conspiratorially. "Hey, Theo," he said with a greasy smile. "That girl, Vanessa, she got a boyfriend?" Theo just raised an eyebrow. "You like what you see, huh?" The client nodded eagerly. "She's stunning, absolutely mesmerizing." Theo pulled out his phone. "Here, let me give you her number. You can try your luck with her tonight." After the meeting, on the drive back, Vanessa started her campaign. "I'm starving, Theo. Can we grab something to eat? I have to get back to the office, finish up a few things." "Oh, come on," she whined, her voice turning into a purr. "It's not often I get to spend time with you alone. How about that coffee shop just up ahead? Just for a little while?" She kept on, a relentless, cloying persistence, until he finally sighed and pulled the car over. Vanessa's face lit up. They walked in and ordered 2 coffees. She added a slice of chocolate cake for herself. Theo sat down, immediately pulling out his phone to check his emails, creating a digital wall between them. Vanessa, undeterred, began her performance. She would lean forward, to take a bite of cake, ensuring her dress gaped open, offering him a clear view. She'd shift in her seat, crossing and uncrossing her long legs. It was a silent, desperate invitation, but he wasn't biting. In fact, he wasn't even looking. Her frustration grew. She took a small piece of cake on her fork and held it right up to his lips. "Here, try some. It's delicious." He turned his head away. "I'm not a fan of sweets. And Vanessa, could you maybe sit back a little? I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea." She laughed, a brittle sound. "What wrong idea? Besides, I kind of like being misunderstood." His face hardened. "I'm a married man, Vanessa." She ignored him, reaching out to place her hand on his. "Being with you like this, it makes me so happy. I wish every day could be like this." He pulled his hand away sharply. "Don't do this. A beautiful woman like you. You're the dream of so many guys out there. Don't cheapen yourself by chasing after a married man. It's not a good look." A few crocodile tears welled in her eyes. "But you know I like you, Theo. I've liked you since before you were married. I still like you. Why won't you just give me a chance?" "I'm sorry, Vanessa," he said, his voice gentle but final. "Please, don't do this anymore. I have a wife." She grabbed his hand again, this time pressing it directly against her chest, right over her heart. "Feel this? It's beating like crazy. For you." That was it. He stood up, calling over the waiter. "Excuse me? Can I get another slice of that cake to go, please?" Vanessa's mind raced. "He's worried I'm still hungry. He's getting me another slice to take back to the office." A triumphant little smile played on her lips. "How did you know I was still hungry?" she asked sweetly. Theo's reply was cool and matter-of-fact. "Oh, it's not for you. I'm buying it for my wife." He picked up the box from the counter. "We should get back to the office. It's getting late." He walked out, leaving her sitting there, frozen. She clenched her fists, her manicured nails digging into her palms. Wife, wife, wife. It was always about his goddamn wife. Here I am, serving myself up on a silver platter, and he doesn't even blink. That night, she couldn't sleep. The more he pushed her away, the more determined she became. She tossed and turned, replaying his rejection in her mind, her humiliation turning into a burning resolve. Then, an idea sparked. His mother. How could she get to his mother? She opened her laptop, her face illuminated by the screen in the dark room. She found Theo's Facebook profile, and from there, it was easy to find his mother, Eleanor. She scrolled through Eleanor's page, a digital treasure trove of family photos, posts about gardening, and inspirational quotes. Vanessa began her work. She liked every single photo. When she saw a new selfie Eleanor had posted, she left a comment. "You look so chic and youthful, Eleanor." A reply came a few minutes later. "Thank you. But I'm sorry. Who is this?" "Oh, I'm so sorry to bother you. My name is Vanessa. I work with your son, Theo." And just like that, the door was open. They messaged back and forth, Vanessa laying on the charm, praising Eleanor, asking about her life. Soon, they were friendly, and then Eleanor extended the invitation Vanessa had been working towards all along. "You should come over for dinner sometime, dear. I'd love to meet you properly." She had no idea she was inviting a viper into her home. She had no idea she was about to help this woman orchestrate the destruction of her son's marriage. Meanwhile, Theo and I were still living in our bubble of newlywed bliss. We took a weekend trip up to a quiet cabin in Wisconsin. We hiked, we drank wine by the fire, he held me close at night. To him, I was still his precious little wife, someone to be cherished, and protected. We drove back to Chicago on a Sunday evening, tired but happy. We walked into the apartment, dropping our bags by the door, and the first thing I saw was her, Vanessa. She was in my kitchen, standing next to Eleanor, helping her cook. She looked up and smiled, a bright, sickeningly sweet smile. "Oh, hi. You two are back from your trip?" Theo's face was a mask of surprise, but he kept his composure. I, however, felt a sudden, hot surge of blood rush to my head. I knew instantly what this was. My mother-in-law, bless her naive heart, came over to greet us. "Anna, honey, welcome home. We have a guest." I forced a smile, walking towards Vanessa. "Hello, nice to meet you. You too. I'm Vanessa. I work with Theo," she said, her voice dripping with false sincerity. "Kids, go wash up and then come eat," Eleanor said cheerfully. "Vanessa, dear, help me set the table." "Of course, Eleanor," she chirped. On the surface, I was the gracious hostess, welcoming a guest. But as soon as Theo and I were in our bedroom with the door closed, the facade crumbled. My body was trembling with a rage so intense it felt like my blood was boiling. I threw my purse onto the bed. This bitch. It wasn't enough for her to stalk him at the office. Now she had infiltrated my home. My goddamn home. Son of a bitch. I took a deep breath, pushing the fury down, plastering a neutral expression on my face. I washed my hands, looked at myself in the mirror, and walked back out. As I saw Theo sitting at the dining table, I had a fleeting, violent urge to just walk over and slap him. Brenda's words echoed in my head. "You'll lose him if you're not careful." "All right, you want to play dirty?" I thought, looking at Vanessa's smiling face. "Then let's play." As we all sat down, Vanessa served the pasta she had made. "I made my specialty tonight, spaghetti aglio e olio. I hope you all like it. Please, eat up." As she spoke, her gaze lingered on Theo, a look of pure, unadulterated longing. That look confirmed everything. Theo, for his part, remained impassive, almost bored. Vanessa was dressed modestly tonight, jeans and a simple white blouse, light makeup, the picture of innocence, a far cry from the vixen in the car. I smiled, my brightest, most dazzling smile. "Wow, Vanessa, you're so talented. This looks incredible. Theo, honey, you have to eat a lot, okay?" He just grunted in response. Eleanor called out, "Vanessa, sweetie, could you come help me with the cabinet door in my room? It's stuck again." "Of course," Vanessa said, jumping up and following her out of the room. The moment they were gone, I saw my chance. I stood up and walked to the kitchen pantry. My eyes scanned the shelves until they found it. A small bottle of ghost pepper hot sauce, the kind that comes with a warning label. I grabbed it, along with a jar of cayenne pepper. I walked back to the table, my heart pounding with a thrilling, dark energy. "You want to play games in my house? Fine, we'll play by my rules." I uncapped the bottle and poured the entire thing onto Vanessa's plate of pasta, mixing it in quickly with her fork. Then I added a generous helping of cayenne pepper for good measure, stirring until the red specks disappeared into the oily sauce. Theo watched me, his eyes wide. He didn't stop me. A slow smile spread across his face. "Getting a little jealous, are we?" he whispered. I shot him a look, my teeth clenched. "After I'm done with her, you're next." "Hey, what did I do?" he protested, but his eyes were dancing with amusement. He was the prize, and we were two lionesses fighting over him. I think, in that moment, he enjoyed it. Eleanor and Vanessa came back. "All right, let's eat." "This looks so good, Vanessa. you're so talented." Theo, with a sly movement, switched his own plate with our guests, and then slid the untouched plate in front of his mother. He gave the doctored plate a gentle push towards Vanessa. "Please, Vanessa, after you." She blushed, flattered by the attention. "Thank you. Please, everyone, dig in." Theo and I began eating immediately. Vanessa just sat there, staring at him, as if she could devour him with her eyes. I wanted to take her plate and smash it over her head. I took a deep breath. "Patience, Anna, patience." Instead, I kicked Theo hard under the table. He choked on a piece of pasta, sputtering. He looked at me, saw the murder in my eyes, and understood. He quickly turned to Vanessa. "Hey, Vanessa, aren't you going to eat? Why are you just sitting there?" She snapped out of her trance. "Oh, of course. How is it? Do you all like it?" I smiled sweetly. "It's delicious." Eleanor, already halfway through her plate, chimed in. "Wonderful. Truly wonderful, dear. You have to eat." Theo then delivered the master stroke. "You know what? Let's make a game of it. Whoever doesn't finish their plate has to stay home and do the dishes while the rest of us go out for coffee." I immediately finished my last bite. "Done. Your turn, Mom." Soon, everyone's plate was empty except for Vanessa's. She was still just gazing at Theo, lost in her fantasy. "Vanessa, dear, you have to eat," Eleanor prompted. "If you don't finish, you can't come for coffee." Vanessa beamed. She thought everyone loved her cooking. She was winning them over. She was getting closer to Theo. She was going to get everything she wanted. I smirked. "Just eat it, bitch. Eat it and find out just how delicious your pasta really is." Theo slammed his hand lightly on the table. "Well, if Vanessa doesn't want to come, I guess it'll just be the three of us." That did it. No, I want to go. "I'm eating right now," she said, panicked. She quickly twirled a large forkful of pasta and shoved it into her mouth. The transformation was immediate. Her eyes bulged. Her face, which was a pale, creamy white, turned a blotchy, furious red. The pasta in her mouth felt like a ball of fire. What the hell? Why is it so spicy? But spitting it out would be a disaster. She would lose face. She'd look like a fool. Did I add too much chili flake? But why did everyone else eat it just fine? I looked at Theo, a silent warning in my eyes. "You're next if you ever get involved with trash like this." He looked back, a mixture of fear and admiration on his face. This was a side of his sweet, docile wife he had never seen before. He turned to Vanessa, his face a perfect picture of concern. "What's wrong, Vanessa? The pasta is so good, but you don't look very happy. Is there a problem?" She shook her head violently, tears starting to stream from her eyes. No problem at all." She managed to choke out, forcing herself to swallow the mouthful of fire. It burned all the way down. She had to finish. She had to get through this to win their approval, to get that coffee with Theo. So she kept eating, torturing herself with every bite, her tongue and lips going numb, and then turning into pure, searing pain. Finally, after an agonizing ordeal, she finished the plate. She was going for coffee. By the time we got to the coffee shop, the damage was done. When she sat down, Eleanor gasped. "My God, Vanessa, what happened to your mouth?" Her lips, usually a perfect, plump pout, were swollen to twice their size. They were red, blistered, and looked like two giant leeches had attached themselves to her face. It was horrifying. Theo recoiled, genuinely shocked. He hadn't expected the effect to be quite so dramatic. I kicked him again under the table. I leaned forward, my voice dripping with fake sympathy. "Are you okay, Vanessa? You know, next time, if you can't handle something, you shouldn't force it. Pushing yourself too hard can have permanent consequences. Vanessa pulled out her phone, opened the camera to look at her reflection, and dropped it on the floor with a clatter. The face staring back at her was a monster. Mortified, she mumbled an excuse about needing to go to the hospital and practically ran out of the coffee shop. I picked up her phone and handed it to her as she fled. "Drive safe," I said with a gentle smile. Eleanor was baffled. "I don't understand. We all ate the same pasta. Why did only Vanessa have such a bizarre allergic reaction?" Theo just sat there, a nervous smile plastered on his face, looking at me. I gave him a death glare, and he immediately shut his mouth. In that moment, I realized something. My life wasn't as simple as I thought. The world was full of women like Vanessa, shameless, predatory, and determined. And my husband, my perfect husband, was the ultimate prize. I was going to have to be more careful, a lot more careful. Vanessa spent a week in the hospital, a week of bland food, antiseptic smells, and the constant, humiliating throb of her swollen lips. The doctors assured her there would be no permanent scarring, but that wasn't her primary concern. Lying there, staring at the ceiling, her biggest fear wasn't disfigurement, it was irrelevance. She worried that a week out of sight was a week out of Theo's mind, that he might find someone new to fixate on. She'd look at her reflection in the small mirror of her compact, watching the swelling slowly recede, her beautiful mouth returning to its former glory. Soon, she'd think, running a finger over her restored lips, soon I'll be back, and this time there will be no mistakes. When she finally returned to the office, her lips perfectly painted, her confidence restored, she saw her worst fear realized. There was a new girl. Her name was Yvonne. She was fresh out of Northwestern, the cousin of the company's CEO, Mr. Harrison. A piece of information that meant she was both protected and, in a way, untouchable. Yvonne was petite, with a face that was almost aggressively innocent, wide, doe-like eyes, a button nose, and a habit of dressing in preppy, collegiate styles that made her look even younger than she was. She wasn't a bombshell like Vanessa, but she radiated a kind of pure, wholesome light that Vanessa knew could be just as dangerous. And her desk was directly opposite Theo's. Anxiety, cold and sharp, coiled in Vanessa's stomach. A new threat had materialized out of thin air, a perfectly placed, politically insulated rival for the attention of the man she considered hers. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Here I was, the actual wife, completely oblivious, going about my days, still wrapped in the warm blanket of my husband's supposed devotion. I wasn't the one losing sleep. I wasn't the one consumed by jealousy. No, the person spiraling into a possessive rage was the other woman. The war for my husband had begun, and I wasn't even on the battlefield yet. Vanessa walked over to the new girl's desk, her heels clicking purposefully on the polished concrete floor. She leaned over, a predatory smile gracing her lips. "Well, hello. You must be the new girl. Aren't you just adorable?" Yvonne looked up, her expression open and friendly. "Hi. Yes, I'm Yvonne. It's nice to meet you. Anything I don't know, I hope you and the team can help me with." "Of course," Theo said from his desk, his voice warm and welcoming. "Everyone, this is Yvonne. Let's make her feel at home." Vanessa's smile tightened. "We're so happy to have you," she said to Yvonne, her voice a low purr. "I'm Vanessa. Anything you need, you just come to me. After all, in this entire department, you and I are the only two who are easy on the eyes, right?" Yvonne just nodded, a little taken aback. Vanessa leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper meant only for Yvonne's ears. "Just a little friendly advice. Don't get any ideas about the boss. You're not in his league, sweetie. Not even close. Yvonne's smile faltered. It was her first day, and she was already being threatened. A flash of anger sparked behind her innocent eyes. She was the CEO's cousin. For God's sake, who did this woman think she was? But she held her tongue. I just got here, she thought, her mind already calculating. I can wait. I'll get you back for this. Because she was new, Theo had to spend time at her desk, patiently walking her through their systems, explaining the workflow. He was kind, thorough, his voice calm and reassuring. Listening to him, Yvonne found herself quickly understanding the work. He had a way of making complex things seem simple. Later that afternoon, he ordered gourmet coffee and pastries for the whole team. As Yvonne sipped her latte, she glanced over at Vanessa. The woman was staring at her, a look of pure hatred on her face, a thundercloud in their otherwise bright, open-plan office. Yvonne looked back at Theo, studying him properly for the first time. He was handsome, undeniably, charismatic, successful, and genuinely nice to his colleagues. She could see why Vanessa was so obsessed. What a shame he's already married, she thought. Then she looked back at Vanessa and sneered internally. Trash. Trying to be a homewrecker. When 5 o'clock rolled around, everyone started packing up. Everyone except Vanessa. She lingered, pretending to organize files on her desk, waiting for Theo to finish his work. Hey, Theo, she said, walking over to his desk. Are you heading out soon? He didn't even look up from his computer. I've still got a few things to wrap up. You and the others go on ahead. Drive safe. Yvonne, who had also stayed a minute late, saw her opening. She looked at Vanessa with a saccharine smile. Well, I guess we should get going then, Vanessa. Vanessa shot her a look that said, Get lost. Yvonne turned to Theo. Oh, Theo, that reminds me. Mr. Harrison's dinner party is next week. You'll be there, of course. You should make sure to bring Anna along. I'm sure everyone would love to finally meet her. Theo's face lit up at the mention of my name. Of course, I wouldn't miss it. Yvonne could practically feel the heat of Vanessa's rage radiating from across the room. She was enjoying this. She decided to twist the knife a little deeper. You know, my cousin, Mr. Harrison, talks about you all the time. He says you're not only one of his best directors, but also an amazing husband, so devoted to your wife and your family. I really admire that in a man. Theo beamed, a proud, happy smile. Well, of course, a man's wife and family should always come first. That's your life, right there. Vanessa stood frozen, her face a mask of fury. She was invisible, irrelevant. Yvonne wasn't done. So, be honest, she said, leaning on his desk playfully. Have you ever, betrayed her? Theo looked genuinely shocked at the question. Never. Not once. Besides, he added, a fond smile playing on his lips, you have no idea what my wife is like when she gets jealous. It's terrifying. I wouldn't dare. He laughed, then pulled out his wallet, flipping it open to a picture of me. He just looked at it for a moment, smiling to himself. Yvonne felt a surge of satisfaction. You, Theo, are one of the good ones. Well, I'm heading home. See you tomorrow. As Yvonne left, a defeated Vanessa trailed behind her. They both stepped into the same elevator. The moment the polished steel doors slid shut, sealing them inside the small, silent box, Vanessa whirled around. What the hell was that, newbie? She hissed. Yvonne calmly reached up and adjusted the strap of her dress. Her voice was ice. Look, Lady, Theo is a married man. He doesn't belong to you, so stop with the pathetic, jealous act and stop threatening me." She took a step closer. "For your information, if I actually wanted him, what do you think you could do to stop me? Don't assume that just because I'm new, you can push me around." "Oh, cut the crap," Vanessa spat. "I saw the way you were looking at him. You want him, don't you? You can lie to everyone else, but you can't lie to me. You're an idiot," Yvonne snapped, her voice rising. "You're completely delusional." The elevator pinged, and the doors opened to the lobby. As Yvonne stepped out, Vanessa stuck out her foot. Yvonne went down, hard, her files scattering across the cold marble floor, the sharp impact sending a shock of pain up her arm. Vanessa stepped over her, pausing to look down at the crumpled figure on the ground. She smirked. "You're still so young and naive," she said, her voice dripping with contempt. "Know your place and do your job. If you don't blame me for being cruel." She turned and walked away, leaving Yvonne sprawled on the floor, a mixture of pain and pure, unadulterated fury washing over her. She slammed her fist on the ground. "You psycho bitch," she whispered to the empty lobby. "I will make you pay for this." Vanessa got home and threw her handbag onto the bed, pacing her apartment like a caged animal. Where did this little brat come from? How dare she get in my way? She had to get rid of her. She had to find a way to push her out of the picture. Her obsession with Theo was now intertwined with a burning hatred for Yvonne. Meanwhile, I was at home, completely unaware of the drama unfolding at my husband's office. Theo called me. "Hey, beautiful. Are you done with your class yet?" I had started taking an advanced accounting course 2 nights a week. Just finished. On my way home now, babe. "Okay. I forgot you had class tonight. Drive safe. I'll see you at home. Love you." "Love you too," I said, smiling into the phone. At my next class, I was telling Brenda all about it. She was in the same program. "So, what was he saying that's got you smiling like that?" Brenda teased as we packed up our books. "It's been years, and he still tells me he loves me every single day," I said, a happy little sigh escaping my lips. It still gets me, you know?" Yeah, you're the luckiest girl in the world, I get it," Brenda said, rolling her eyes playfully. "So, what's the latest on that office slut, Vanessa? Did you take care of her?" My good mood soured. "Oh God, I've been so busy with this class I completely forgot about her. Now that you mention it, I'm getting pissed off all over again. That kind of trash needs to be dealt with swiftly," Brenda said, her voice turning hard. "You need to smash her face in and then rub salt in the wounds." Metaphorically, of course. Mostly, I just smiled, a small, secret smile. "Brenda, relax. My revenge will be sweet. We don't need to get loud and messy. That just brings shame on Theo and makes me look like a shrew. No, with people like her. You have to play it smart. You have to let them destroy themselves. It's so much more satisfying that way." After her humiliation in the lobby, Yvonne was furious. She spent the night plotting. How could she get back at Vanessa? The answer was obvious. Theo. Vanessa was obsessed with him. The only way to truly hurt her, to make her feel the same humiliation she'd felt, was to make her lose her fantasy. Even better, to have Theo's wife be the one to put Vanessa in her place. Yes, Yvonne thought, a cruel little smile on her face. "I'll make sure Anna finds out. I'll make sure she rips Vanessa to shreds." While these 2 women were sharpening their claws, preparing for war over my husband, I was just living my life, working, studying, going to the gym. Brenda caught me in the break room at the bank a few days later. "Hey, Have you dealt with the Vanessa situation yet? You seem way too calm. Not yet, I said, stirring my tea. Anna, what are you doing? I heard from a friend who knows someone at Theo's company that everyone there knows that woman is throwing herself at your husband. Aren't you afraid of losing him? I took a sip of my tea and smiled faintly. Theo and I share a location app on our phones, Brenda. I know where he is every second of the day. And besides, if a man is going to cheat, the more you try to control him, the more he'll want to stray. If he has a wandering eye, then he's not the man I thought he was. And frankly, I don't want him. You're going to lose your husband, and then you'll be sitting here crying about it. You need to go over there and give that woman a piece of your mind. Brenda, listen to me, I said, my voice low and confident. If I go and cause a scene, she wins. She gets the satisfaction of knowing she got under my skin. People like that, they thrive on drama. They want you to fight them because it makes them feel important. No, I told you, my revenge will be sweet and it will be on my terms. Trust me. I said I would deal with her, but I was busy. The class was demanding, and honestly, I was still checking Theo's location every day. He came straight home from work. He spent his weekends with me. He was still my loving, attentive husband. I let the issue of Vanessa slide, thinking maybe, just maybe, she'd gotten the message. I was wrong. Back at the office, Vanessa's first order of business every morning was to check her makeup in her compact mirror, pull her shirt down just a little lower to accentuate her cleavage, and then make Theo a cup of coffee. Here you go, Theo. Thanks, Vanessa. She'd lean over his shoulder, her perfume suffocatingly strong, a blatant invitation. Theo, can I have 30 minutes of your time this afternoon? Privately. What's it about? You can tell me now. She shook her head, trying to look mysterious. It's personal. I can't talk about it here. Yvonne, sitting at her desk nearby, rolled her eyes. Shameless bitch, she thought. At it again. At the end of the day, Theo called Vanessa into his office. Okay, you've got 5 minutes. I'm almost done. Great, she said. Yvonne packed up her things but didn't leave. She stood just outside the glass wall of his office, pretending to be on her phone, trying to overhear their conversation. I'm done, Theo said. So, what's this about? Vanessa's eyes were practically smoldering. Let's go to a bar. We can talk over a drink. He knew exactly what this was. No, whatever you have to say it here. I have to go pick up my wife. Her face fell. It was always about his wife. Are you that scared of her? Let's say I am, he said flatly. Now, what's on your mind? I need to get going. She reached out and grabbed his hand. He pulled it away. I'm in love with you, she whispered, her voice trembling. I know it's complicated, but I'm willing to be your secret. Just yours and mine. I promise I'll never cause any trouble for you or your wife. Yvonne, outside, could only make out bits and pieces. It was frustrating. What the hell is that psycho saying? Theo just shook his head. Vanessa, thank you for your feelings, but I'm sorry. I can't. He turned to leave. In a move of pure desperation, Vanessa reached behind her back and unhooked her bra, letting her dress slip down to her waist, exposing her breasts. If you walk out that door, she said, her voice shaking with a terrifying intensity, I will scream. I'll scream that you assaulted me, that you tried to rape me, and we'll see what the whole company thinks of their golden boy then. His eyes widened in horror. Vanessa, are you insane? She threw herself at him, wrapping her arms around his neck, trying to kiss him. He struggled, pushing her away, but she clung to him like a leech. I want you, Theo. I love you. Please, just come with me. Just for a little while. I'm begging you." He was disgusted, trapped. He didn't want to hurt her, but she was relentless. "Let go of me, Vanessa. I'll let go if you come with me." Hearing the commotion, Yvonne decided she'd seen enough. She threw open the door. The sight was damning. Vanessa, half naked, clinging to Theo. Theo, his face a mask of panic, looking at Yvonne with desperate, pleading eyes. Yvonne didn't miss a beat. She turned her head towards the hallway and yelled at the top of her lungs, "Anna. Anna, is that you? Come in here. Theo's in his office." The name hit Vanessa like a bucket of ice water. She instantly let go of Theo, scrambling to pull up her dress to cover herself. In that split second of panic, Yvonne grabbed Theo's hand. "Let's go," she hissed, and pulled him out of the office, leaving Vanessa standing there, half-dressed and utterly bewildered. It took Vanessa a few seconds to realize she'd been tricked. By the time she did, Yvonne and Theo were gone. Out in the cool evening air of the parking garage, they finally let go of each other's hands. The air was thick with the smell of concrete and exhaust fumes. "Thank you," Theo said, his voice still shaky. He ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair, messing it up for the first time all day. "I mean it, Yvonne. Thank you. If you hadn't been there, I don't know what I would have done with her." Yvonne gave him a slight, knowing smile. "That woman isn't just unprofessional, she's unhinged. I've never seen anything like it." "You and me both," he sighed. He looked at her, a genuine gratitude in his eyes. "So, why are you still here? I thought you'd have left ages ago." Yvonne's bright expression dimmed. She gestured vaguely towards the other end of the garage. "My car has a flat tire. I was just about to call for a tow truck." "A flat? There is a repair shop just across the street. Let me help you get it over there." "Oh no, you don't have to. I can manage." But he was already walking towards her car, a modest little Honda Civic that looked tiny next to his Audi. He was a man who needed to fix things, to be the hero, and this was a perfect, simple problem he could solve. He pushed the car, his suit jacket straining across his broad shoulders, guiding it out of the parking space and towards the garage exit. Yvonne followed, watching him. A bead of sweat trickled down his temple. Without thinking, she reached out and gently wiped it away with the sleeve of her sweater. He didn't pull back. For a brief, charged moment, their eyes met. Yvonne's heart gave a little flutter. God, he really is perfect, she thought. So strong, so kind, so unavailable. What a tragic waste. The next day, at the office, a new dynamic had formed. Every time Vanessa tried to approach Theo, to corner him with her cloying advances, Yvonne would materialize. She'd appear with a work-related question, a request for help on a project, a casual interruption that was perfectly timed and utterly infuriating for Vanessa. Yvonne had become Theo's self-appointed guardian angel, and Vanessa was seething. The little thorn in her side was growing, and she felt a primal urge to rip it out. The office air grew thick with unspoken tension. Vanessa felt a growing sense of unease, a paranoid conviction that something was shifting between Theo and Yvonne. One morning, she made him his coffee and brought it to his desk. "Good morning, Theo. Did you get any breakfast?" He gave her a polite but distant smile, the kind of smile that could freeze fire. It was the smile that drove both Vanessa and Yvonne crazy in their own ways. "Thanks, Vanessa. I already ate." She pretended to see something on his face. "Oh, you've got something. Right here. Let me get it for you," she said, reaching out to touch his cheek, her body leaning intimately close to his. Yvonne saw it from her desk. "This is a professional workplace," she called out, her voice sharp and clear. "Could we please maintain a level of decorum?" Theo used the interruption as his escape. He quickly moved over to Yvonne's desk, ostensibly to discuss work, leaving Vanessa standing alone, her hands still hovering in the air. She glared at them, her eyes burning holes in their backs. Later that afternoon, Vanessa was preparing a file for a client meeting she was supposed to attend with Theo. She walked over to his desk, the file in her hand. "The documents are all ready, Theo. We can leave whenever you are." She shot a triumphant, condescending look over at Yvonne. "I'm going with him, you little bitch." But Theo didn't even look up from his screen. "Actually, Vanessa, you can stay here today. I'm going to take Yvonne. It'll be a good learning experience for her." He stood up. "Come on, Yvonne, let's go." Yvonne's face lit up with a huge, genuine smile. She grabbed the file from Vanessa's stunned hands. "Thank you, Vanessa. You can finish up that quarterly report while we're gone, okay? Thanks so much." As they walked out, Vanessa felt a rage so pure and white-hot it nearly blinded her. She threw the report she was holding onto the floor. "That little slut. How dare she steal my place?" She sank into her chair, her mind racing. Why is Theo paying so much attention to her all of a sudden? Does he like her? The thought was unbearable. No, I can't lose to her. I won't. An idea, dark and venomous, began to form in her mind. "I'll tell his wife. I'll tell Anna everything. I'll tell her how this little innocent intern is trying to seduce her husband. We'll see how long she lasts when Anna gets involved." I was at my desk, trying to reconcile a particularly tricky account, when my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Your husband's new intern, Yvonne, is getting very close to him. He's been buying her food, taking her everywhere. The whole office is whispering about it. You should be careful." I stared at the message, a cold dread seeping into my bones. What the hell is this? Another one? Who is Yvonne? Before I could even process it, another message came through. "I'll send you some pictures later." Of Theo kissing her. That was it. Something inside me snapped. I slammed my hand on my desk, the loud bang making Brenda jump in her chair next to me. "Anna, what's wrong?" I came back to myself, realizing what I'd done. "Oh, nothing. I'm fine. Just feeling a little dizzy all of a sudden. I'll be okay in a minute." "Dizzy? Do you want me to get you some aspirin?" "No, I'm fine, really," I said, forcing a smile. I looked back at my phone. My hands were shaking. I typed a reply. "Is this Vanessa?" The response was immediate. "Yes. You need to handle Yvonne before you regret it." And suddenly, it all clicked into place. This wasn't a concerned colleague. This was a rival trying to eliminate her competition. My mind cleared, the emotional fog of panic replaced by a cold, sharp clarity. I typed another message, this one designed to provoke. "Oh? I thought Theo was into you. What happened? Did he move on to Yvonne already? I thought you were something special, Vanessa. But it looks like you're just another run-of-the-mill office fling. How disappointing." The satisfaction I felt sending that message was immense. I could almost feel her rage vibrating through the phone. Let them fight. Let them tear each other apart. But my own unease lingered. I had put Vanessa out of my mind, but now there was a new name, a new face, Yvonne. It seemed I had been too complacent. I had dealt with the symptom, but not the disease. But I had an idea, a brilliant, terrible idea. I would let them destroy each other. I would pour gasoline on their fire and watch them burn. I wouldn't have to lift a finger, and I wouldn't get my hands dirty. After the client meeting, Theo took Yvonne to a high-end Japanese restaurant for dinner. "Are you hungry? Let's grab a bite to eat, he'd said. Yvonne's heart leaped. He's finally making a move. This is my chance. I'd love that, she'd replied, her voice soft and eager. They sat across from each other in the sleek, minimalist restaurant, discussing work, sharing stories. In front of him, Yvonne was the perfect picture of a sweet, innocent young woman. She was attentive. She laughed at his jokes. She listened with wide, adoring eyes. Theo found her charming, a breath of fresh air compared to Vanessa's aggressive, suffocating advances. I, of course, knew exactly where he was. The little blue dot on my phone's map pinpointed his location just a few blocks from my bank. A cold fury, sharp and painful, twisted in my gut. I got in my car and drove there, parking across the street. My own private investigator on a case that was breaking my heart. Through the restaurant's large window, I could see them, laughing, talking, leaning in close. I took out my phone and snapped a picture. Evidence. A souvenir from the day my perfect marriage began to die. Then I called him. He looked down at his phone, saw my name, and a flicker of something, guilt, crossed his face before he smiled at Yvonne and excused himself. Hey, babe. Hey, honey, I said, my voice carefully light and cheerful. Are you still at the office? My car won't start. Can you come pick me up? A beat of silence. Oh, I'm still in a meeting with a client, Anna. Can you just grab a cab? I'll take a look at the car tonight when I get home. Tears welled in my eyes. It was the first time he had ever lied to me so blatantly. My rock, my fortress, my honest, devoted husband was a liar. I hung up the phone, the cheerful facade crumbling, and let the tears fall. My whole body ached with a pain so profound it felt physical. So this is how it starts. My national treasure of a husband, the man I put on a pedestal, was finally learning how to lie. Brenda was right. I was a fool. I had been too trusting. I sat in my car, watching them, my mind a chaotic whirl of pain and rage. I'll wait for them to finish. Then they'll go to a hotel. I'll follow them. I'll catch them in the act. The thought of divorce, once an impossible, alien concept, now felt real and terrifyingly close. We didn't have kids yet. A clean break. I'd catch them, expose them, and walk away. I checked the glove compartment. The pepper spray I always carried was still there. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside me, and ordered a coffee from the drive-thru next door. And I waited. Inside the restaurant, Yvonne was feeling strange. A warmth was spreading through her, a new and unfamiliar desire. She wanted him. She was curious. What did it feel like to be with a man like him? She had never had a serious boyfriend in college, always too focused on her studies. This man, sitting right in front of her, was the one she chose for her first time. When they finished eating, she leaned in and whispered in his ear, her breath warm against his skin. Do you want to try something new? We could get a hotel room. His face flushed. He stammered, I should probably get home, but his denial was weak. The words said no, but his body was humming with a different energy. What man could resist a beautiful, intelligent virgin offering herself up so freely? Yvonne was smart. She didn't push. When she was rejected, she just smiled sweetly. Okay, then shall we head back? Theo felt a pang of regret. A part of him, the primal, selfish part, wanted to say yes, but he stood up, and they left. He opened the car door for her, and she gave him a look so full of tender affection it made my stomach churn from across the street. I wanted to run over there and slap them both, But I held back. Not yet. Be patient. I followed his car, my heart pounding in my chest. But he didn't turn towards a hotel district. He drove straight back to the office. A small measure of relief washed over me. Okay, so maybe he was just tempted. A crush. Nothing had happened yet. Maybe. Maybe this was still salvageable, but I knew I couldn't do it alone. I needed to get rid of Yvonne. And who better to do my dirty work for me than the woman who hated her even more than I did? I pulled over, took a deep breath, and called Vanessa. She answered on the first ring, her voice tight with anticipation. Did you deal with Yvonne yet? I adopted a tone of bored indifference. Look, I'm too busy for this petty drama. If Theo likes her, let him have her. I don't really care anymore. What? Vanessa shrieked, her voice cracking. You're just going to let her take your husband? After everything? I'm tired of him. He's not worth my energy. If you care so much, you know what you have to do, right? I paused, letting the bait dangle. Oh, by the way, they just got back from a very cozy little date. Kisses in the car and everything. I'm giving Theo his freedom now. So if you want him, you'll have to fight her for him. Good luck with that. I hung up, a cold, bitter smile on my face. I drove home, let the games begin. I would go home, take a shower, and wait for the show to start. As for my darling husband, oh, I had a special plan just for him. Vanessa, as predicted, went nuclear. The thought of Theo and Yvonne on a romantic date, kissing, whispering sweet nothings, it drove her insane. She was a woman scorned, and her fury was about to be unleashed. The next day, at the office, Theo and Yvonne walked in together, laughing about something. It was the final straw for Vanessa. She requested to leave early, claiming a migraine. She had a plan to formulate. As Yvonne was leaving work, Vanessa followed her out. Why are you leaving so early today, Vanessa? Yvonne asked, a mocking lilt in her voice. Vanessa's eyes were cold slits of fury. Where did you and Theo go last night? Yvonne smirked, deciding to pour fuel on the fire. Oh, you know, we had dinner. We went on a date. There were secrets. It was all very romantic, very sweet. She was lying, fantasizing, but she knew it would work. Slap. The sound echoed in the quiet hallway. Vanessa had hit her hard. You bitch, Yvonne screamed and slapped her back. Twice. She jabbed a finger in Vanessa's face. You stay away from me, you old hag. Theo is mine now. A washed-up, desperate piece of trash like you never stood a chance. So back the fuck off before I do something you'll regret. Vanessa dropped her purse, ready for a full-blown brawl, when Theo's voice came from down the hall. Yvonne, can you come back here for a second? I need your help with this report from Mr. Harrison. Yvonne shot Vanessa one last triumphant smirk and walked back towards Theo's office. What was that all about? Theo asked as she came in. Vanessa looked upset. Yvonne put on her best sad face. It's because you took me to that meeting instead of her. She's mad at me. She hit me. I don't know what to do, Theo. She what? He said, his voice hardening. That's completely unacceptable. Don't worry, I'll handle this. Yvonne's eyes widened with fake innocence and relief. Really? You'll protect me? She's so aggressive. I'm scared of her. From the hallway, Vanessa watched them, saw Yvonne's hand on his arm, saw the concerned look on his face. She was losing, and she was done playing games. She went home and made a call. She gathered her troops. This was war. Theo came home right on time that evening, but I could sense a subtle shift in him. His mind was elsewhere, He was physically present, but the easy intimacy, the effortless connection that had defined us, felt strained. He was thinking about her, about Yvonne, that sweet, innocent girl. I played my part. I was the loving wife, oblivious to the storm brewing just beneath the surface. I cooked his favorite meal, asked about his day, feigned ignorance. "Let's go out for dinner," he suggested, picking at his food. "We eat at home all the time. It gets boring." I looked at him, my heart aching with a fresh wave of betrayal, and smiled the sweetest, most understanding smile I could muster. "Tired of the same old home-cooked meal? Want to go out for something different?" The double meaning hung in the air between us, sharp and glittering. He didn't seem to notice, or maybe he chose not to. "Yeah, let's just go out," he said, his eyes avoiding mine. "Okay, honey, whatever you want." Yvonne got home to her small apartment in a quiet, tree-lined neighborhood. As she opened her front door to bring her car in from the driveway, a car screeched to a halt at the curb. Vanessa and a group of 5 other women, all with hard, angry faces, spilled out. Yvonne froze, her hand on the doorknob. Fear, cold and immediate, seized her. She saw Vanessa's face, twisted with a chilling, triumphant rage. "Well, look who's home," Vanessa said, her voice a low, menacing purr. "I've been waiting for you." Yvonne's heart hammered against her ribs. Her voice came out as a squeak. "Vanessa, what do you want?" Vanessa laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. "What do I want? I want to teach you a lesson, you little husband-stealing bitch. You think you can take what's mine and get away with it?" It was insane. Has she ever considered that Theo wasn't hers to begin with? That he was my husband? Yvonne tried to sound brave. "Don't be ridiculous. I haven't done anything to you. You need to be careful what you say." Vanessa's face hardened. "Oh, I'm being very careful. Just this afternoon, you were taunting me, weren't you? Bragging about your romantic date with my Theo, and now you're scared? Is that it?" The women closed in around her, a menacing circle. "Get her," Vanessa commanded. They swarmed her. Yvonne tried to run, to fight, but it was 6 against 1. They grabbed her by the hair, yanking her head back, and slapped her, hard, again and again. She screamed, but her apartment was at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. There was no one around to hear. "Rip her clothes off," Vanessa shrieked, her voice filled with a delirious, vengeful glee. "You want to steal my man? Let's see how you like this." They were like a pack of wolves. They held her down, one woman on each limb, while another took a pair of scissors from her purse and began cutting away Yvonne's clothes. Yvonne sobbed, begging them to stop, but her pleas were lost in their own wild, furious shouts. They beat her until her body was a canvas of bruises. They hacked at her hair with the scissors, leaving it in ragged, uneven chunks. She lay on the cold concrete of her driveway, naked and sobbing, a broken doll. But Vanessa wasn't finished. She walked over to her car and returned with a large, 10-liter jug of cooking oil. "How do you feel now?" she taunted, standing over Yvonne's trembling body. "How does it feel to be drenched in oil?" She unscrewed the cap and poured the entire contents of the jug over Yvonne's head. The thick, greasy liquid coated her hair, her body, making her look slick and horrifying. Yvonne's mouth was swollen, 2 of her front teeth were chipped, and blood trickled from her lip. She couldn't speak, only cry, a series of pathetic, choked sobs. Just then, the headlights of a car swept across the scene as it turned into the cul-de-sac. The sudden light startled them. "Shit, someone's coming. Let's go." Vanessa and her gang scrambled back into their car and sped off, leaving Yvonne lying there in a puddle of oil and humiliation. The person in the car, a kind neighbor, rushed over, called an ambulance, and saved her. The next morning, I was getting ready for work when Brenda called. "Anna, oh my God, did you hear? That Vanessa woman got arrested." I sat down on the edge of the bed. "Arrested? For what? Selling drugs?" "No, for assault. She beat the hell out of some girl from your husband's office. The girl is in the hospital, in critical condition." The video of the attack was all over social media last night, but it got taken down this morning. My blood ran cold. She actually did it. She beat up Yvonne. "Are you serious?" "It was Yvonne, wasn't it?" "Yeah, I think so." "How did you know? Does this have something to do with Theo?" I immediately went into damage control mode. No, nothing to do with Theo. It must be about some other guy. Well, I saved the video to my phone before it got deleted. "Do you want to see it?" "Yes," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Send it to me." She did, and I watched. It was worse than I could have imagined. Yvonne, bloody and bruised, her hair hacked off, her body covered in that glistening oil. It was the most brutal, vicious thing I had ever seen. A part of me, the part that was still a decent human being, was horrified. But another part, the darker, wounded part, felt a grim satisfaction. If this doesn't scare Yvonne away from Theo for good, then she's not human. She's a monster. If it had been me, I'd be afraid of men for the rest of my life. I couldn't believe how far Vanessa had gone. I thought she'd threaten her, maybe get into a little shouting match. Not this. This was biblical. Vanessa wasn't just playing games. She was playing for keeps. But life, as they say, is full of surprises. When Theo heard that Yvonne had been beaten half to death, he didn't react with fear or disgust. He reacted with concern. He rushed to the hospital to see her. That's the thing about men. You think you know them. You think you can count on their decency, their loyalty. But when it comes down to it, how many of them are truly faithful? A handful, maybe. The rest, they're just waiting for the opportunity. I saw him rushing out of the house that morning, his face a mask of worry. "Theo, where are you going in such a hurry?" I asked, my voice calm. "Have some breakfast first." I have to go pick up Mr. Harrison. We have an early meeting." I just smiled. "Oh, by the way, honey, did you hear about that woman from your office, Vanessa? The one who got arrested for assault? They're saying she beat up that new girl, Yvonne, because Yvonne was sleeping with Vanessa's boyfriend. Isn't that crazy? You work with them. You must know something, right?" He shook his head, avoiding my eyes. "I don't really pay attention to office gossip. I gotta go. I'm late." He practically ran out the door. I sneered at his retreating back. "Going to see Mr. Harrison, my ass. You're going to see her." 30 minutes later, I checked his location on my phone. He was at the hospital. I sat down on the couch, the world tilting on its axis. My husband, my good, kind, loving husband, was now running to the side of another woman. He got to the hospital and saw Yvonne, bruised and bandaged, and he was overwhelmed with guilt. He felt responsible. He believed this had all happened because of him. He promised to take care of her, to make sure Vanessa was fired, to make up for everything she had endured. Meanwhile, Vanessa, thanks to a well-connected brother and a powerful uncle, was released from custody almost immediately. She had to pay a fine, but all other charges were miraculously dropped. She walked back into the office the next day as if nothing had happened. Theo saw her and lost it. He strode over to her desk, grabbed the box of her personal belongings, and threw it out into the hallway. "You're fired," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "This is an official notice from Mr. Harrison. Now pack your shit and get out." Vanessa was stunned. "Fired? Why? I haven't done anything to hurt this company." "Shut your mouth and get out of here," he hissed. "Before I do something I'll regret." A bitter, knowing smile crossed her face. "Ah, I see. You feel sorry for her, don't you? That's why you got me fired." "Fine." She picked up her box. "I'll just go talk to Mr. Harrison myself and clear this all up." But Mr. Harrison was conveniently out of the country on business, so Vanessa had no choice but to leave, defeated and fuming. From that day on, Theo spent every evening after work at the hospital with Yvonne. He doted on her, cared for her, his guilt slowly transforming into something else, something softer. Yvonne, for her part, played the victim perfectly. "I miss you so much, Theo," she'd whisper, her voice weak. Can you just hold me for a little bit?" He would. He'd sit on the edge of her bed and hold her, and they would talk and laugh quietly in the sterile, white room. One evening, I decided I'd had enough. I bought a fruit basket and went to the hospital myself. I needed to see this, to face it. I needed one last chance to pull him back from the brink. I pushed open the door to her room and saw them. His arms were around her. Her head was on his shoulder. They were laughing. The sight felt like a physical blow. My chest tightened, and for a moment, I couldn't breathe. But I forced myself to smile, to pretend. "Oh, Theo, you're here too. I heard Yvonne was in the hospital, so I thought I'd stop by and see how she's doing." Theo's face went pale. He jumped up as if he'd been burned. "Anna, I just got here. You should sit down." Yvonne, on the other hand, showed no fear, no shame. She looked at me, the legal wife, with a cool, challenging gaze. I walked over to her bed. "How are you feeling? I can't believe Vanessa would do something so horrible. What did you ever do to her?" Yvonne gave a small, bitter laugh. "I didn't do anything. The woman is insane." I wanted to smash the fruit basket over her head. "You're still acting innocent even now, after everything?" My own anger was a roaring fire in my chest. I looked at my husband, who was standing there awkwardly, not saying a word. I turned to him, my voice still sweet, but with an edge of steel he couldn't miss. "You have some free time today, honey? I thought you were always so busy." He nodded dumbly. Yeah. Today was slow, so I thought I'd check on Yvonne." I wanted to scream. I wanted to take the paring knife from the fruit basket and carve his lying heart out. Just then, his phone rang. He looked at the screen and quickly walked out into the hallway to answer it. It was just me and her. Yvonne looked at me, her expression turning smug. "I'm fine, Anna. You can go home now." She was dismissing me. In my own marriage. "Oh, I'm waiting for my husband," I said, my voice dangerously calm. "We'll go home together. Why are you in such a hurry for me to leave? Are you afraid of something?" "Why would I be afraid? You should be the one who leaves. Why wait?" I stepped closer to her bed, my smile gone. "Because there are too many vultures circling my husband. I have to be on guard. Don't you agree?" Yvonne's smug expression faltered. "What are you trying to say?" I reached out and gently touched her butchered hair. "I'm saying, this is just the beginning. If you don't learn your lesson, someone else will be happy to teach it to you." She flinched, her eyes widening with a flicker of fear. She tried to raise her bruised arm, but I caught her wrist, my grip like iron, and pushed it back down onto the bed. She winced in pain. "Thirsty?" I asked, picking up a glass of water from her bedside table. "Let me help you." "I don't want it." I ignored her, forcing the glass to her lips and tilting it, letting the water spill down her chin and onto her hospital gown. She coughed and sputtered. I leaned in close, my fingers pressing lightly against her throat. "I know everything," I whispered, my voice a venomous hiss. "You, Vanessa, all of you bitches, if you want my husband so badly, you should get on your knees and beg me for him. Then maybe I'll give him to you. Otherwise, I will make your life a living hell. I will torture you until you wish you were dead. Do you understand me, you little whore?" Her face was a mixture of terror and disbelief. "So," I said, my voice returning to its normal, pleasant tone, "are you going to beg? I'll give him to you. I'll walk away and let you have him." You're a monster," she whispered. "Beg or don't." And then, to my utter astonishment, she did it. She actually started to slide out of the bed, her bruised body trembling. To get on her knees, I couldn't believe it. I had to stop her before Theo came back and saw. "Get up," I said, my voice flat. "He's yours. Go ahead and keep him. I don't want him anymore." I was lying, of course. It was a trick. But in that moment, seeing her so willing to debase herself, I felt a profound sense of loss. I had already lost. I walked to the door and met Theo coming back in. "Are you leaving?" he asked. "Yes. Are you coming with me?" It was my last plea, a final, desperate hope that he would choose me, that he would come home. He hesitated. He looked at me, then back at her. I have some work to finish up," he lied. And that was it. My world shattered. I walked away, my legs unsteady. I made it to my car and just drove, tears streaming down my face. I pulled over to the side of the road, the city blurring through my tears, and I screamed. A raw, guttural sound of pure, heart-wrenching pain. People stared as they drove by, but I didn't care. My perfect life, my perfect husband, my perfect love story. It was all gone. Yvonne eventually recovered, physically at least, and as she healed, her bond with Theo deepened. He was no longer just the handsome boss she had a crush on. He was her savior, her protector, and he, in turn, was drawn to her vulnerability, her seeming innocence. He was also, on a more primal level, intensely curious. He was a man intrigued by the novelty of a pure woman, and he couldn't wait for her to be well enough for him to explore that. Yvonne, too, was eager. She had fantasized about this moment for so long. They were a couple now, in their own minds. A tragic, romantic pair brought together by circumstance. And me? I was the ghost in their love story, the inconvenient wife, alone. Theo still came home every night. He still said he loved me. He still held me and was physically affectionate, because he didn't think I knew. He believed I was still the same naive, trusting Anna. In his perfect world, he could have both of us, his stable, respectable wife at home, and his exciting, adoring mistress on the side. He didn't want to subtract, he only wanted to add. For 2 weeks, I was a wreck. I barely ate. I cried myself to sleep. I was a shell of my former self, adrift in a sea of grief and betrayal. Then, one morning, I woke up and something inside me had shifted. The pain was still there, a dull, constant ache, but it was now overlaid with a layer of cold, hard rage. I got out of bed, opened our joint savings account on my laptop, and transferred a significant amount of his money into my personal account. Then I went shopping. I bought myself the designer handbag I'd been coveting for months. I bought shoes, clothes, a ridiculously expensive bottle of perfume. I spent his money. our money, with a reckless, liberating abandon. That evening, when he came home, I was sweetness and light. I cooked a beautiful meal. I was the perfect, doting wife. I gave no sign that anything was amiss. At night, I still let him hold me, his arms a familiar comfort that now felt like a cage. His heart was no longer mine alone. But did he really think I would share? The next morning, his phone rang while he was in the shower. I saw the name on the screen, Yvonne. He had told me he was going to the office early for a meeting. Another lie. I didn't answer. I just watched it ring, a cold knot tightening in my stomach. A few minutes later, he came out of the bathroom, a towel wrapped around his waist, and checked his phone. I pretended to be asleep. He tiptoed out of the room and went downstairs to take the call. I slipped out of bed and followed him, hiding at the top of the stairs, listening. "Yvonne?" he whispered into the phone. "I told you not to call me when I'm at home. What if Anna finds out?" Her voice, tinny and faint through the phone, was just audible. "She already knows, doesn't she? What are you so worried about? What are you talking about? How would she know? She's been acting completely normal." "I'm not wrong. It's better this way, isn't it? Aren't you going to divorce her for me?" There was a long pause. I held my breath. How could I do that? We agreed. We agreed this would just be an affair. "I can't leave my wife to marry you." "Then fine. I'll find someone else. I'll save my virginity for a man who actually wants me." The word virginity hung in the air like a magic spell. I could practically feel his resolve crumbling. "Wait," he said, his voice laced with a new urgency. Okay, I'll pick you up later. We'll go somewhere." I crept back to the bedroom, my heart a block of ice. I got back into bed and waited. When he came back upstairs, I opened my eyes and smiled. "Morning, sleepyhead. Hey, you're awake. You should sleep in a little longer." "No, I'm up. I have to go over to my mom's later. Are you free? We could go together." I can't," he said, already pulling on his shirt. "I'm busy. I have to go pick up Mr. Harrison for a work thing. You go on your own, okay?" I got out of bed and wrapped my arms around his neck, pressing my body against his. "Okay, honey, but you have to be home early. You promised to take me out to dinner tonight, remember? Don't you dare forget." He kissed my forehead, a gesture that now felt utterly meaningless. "I won't." He went downstairs. I followed a few minutes later with a cup of coffee for him. In the kitchen, I opened the refrigerator and took out the bottle of extra-strength laxatives I'd bought on my shopping spree. I emptied a generous amount into his coffee and stirred it until the powder dissolved. I walked into the living room, a sweet smile on my face. "Here, honey, a little caffeine to get you going." He took the mug, his eyes filled with a guilt-ridden affection. "You're the best, Anna. Thanks." "Yes, I am the best," I thought, watching him drink. "And she's the other woman. Let's see how this plays out." He drained the mug in one go. "Delicious. Okay, I gotta run. Be good at your mom's. I love you." "I love you too," I said, watching him walk out the door. "Good luck today." I wondered, with a small, vicious thrill, what would happen if he really was going to pick up Mr. Harrison. The thought of him having to pull over on the side of the highway, desperately searching for a bathroom. It was almost enough to make me laugh, but I knew where he was going. Yvonne was waiting for him at the corner, just as they'd arranged. They drove to a nondescript hotel on the outskirts of the city. The moment the door to their room closed, they fell into each other's arms, a clumsy, desperate tangle of limbs. He kissed her, his hands exploring her body, a feverish heat rising between them. This was it, the moment she'd been waiting for. She closed her eyes, ready for the sweet, romantic consummation of their love affair. But just as things were heating up, a strange gurgling sound emanated from deep within Theo's abdomen. He stopped, a look of confusion on his face. And then, a foul, unmistakable smell filled the air. Yvonne's eyes flew open. She wrinkled her nose, pulling back. "Oh my God, Theo. You couldn't have held that in?" He blushed, a deep, mortified crimson. He didn't understand what was happening. And then, a sudden, violent cramp seized him. He clutched his stomach, doubling over. I have to go to the bathroom," he gasped, and sprinted for the toilet, slamming the door behind him. Yvonne sat on the edge of the bed, pouting. What a mood killer. A few minutes later, he emerged, looking pale and shaken. "I'm so sorry about that," he said. "I don't know what's wrong with me." She softened. "It's okay. Are you feeling better?" She patted the bed beside her. "Come here. We haven't even started yet." He lay down next to her, and they started again, his hands and mouth eager to make up for the interruption. But then, it happened again. Another wave of cramps, more powerful than the last. He shot up, a look of sheer panic on his face, and ran for the bathroom. Yvonne was furious. She grabbed a pillow and threw it at the closed door. "What is wrong with you? This is ridiculous." When he came out this time, he was clutching his stomach, his face slick with sweat. "Yvonne, I'm so sorry. I think I have food poisoning or something. I just keep needing to go." She sighed, all her romantic fantasies evaporating. He, however, was still determined. He leaned in to kiss her, to try and salvage the moment, but it was too late. The third wave hit him with the force of a tsunami, and this time, he didn't make it to the bathroom. A horrific, explosive sound, followed by an even more horrific smell, filled the room. Yvonne stared at the large brown stains spreading across the white hotel bedspread, and then at Theo, who was frozen in a state of pure, abject humiliation. She jumped off the bed as if it were on fire. "That is disgusting," she screamed, grabbing her clothes. "You are unbelievable." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her, leaving him there, alone, in a room that smelled like a sewer, to face several more agonizing hours of intestinal warfare. I was lounging on the couch, eating bonbons and watching a movie when he finally came home, looking like a defeated soldier returning from a lost war. "You're back early," I said, not taking my eyes off the screen. "I thought you'd be home later, so I didn't make dinner." He sank onto the couch, his face a picture of misery. The meeting with Mr. Harrison was rescheduled. I don't feel so good. Is there anything to eat? I'm starving." All that running to the bathroom must have made you hungry, I thought, a vicious little smile playing on my lips. "Why don't we go out to that new Italian place?" I said sweetly. "I'm hungry too." At the restaurant, I was the perfect, loving wife. I held his hand, kissed his cheek, and took a series of smiling selfies of us, which I immediately posted on Instagram. I tagged our location and added a cheesy, romantic caption. "Date night with my amazing husband. He always knows how to take care of me. Number bestes bandiver, number blestes." Just as I predicted, his phone started buzzing before we'd even finished our appetizers. He saw the caller ID, Yvonne, and his face went pale. He quickly excused himself and went outside to take the call. I watched him through the window, talking animatedly into the phone, his expression a mixture of panic and frustration. I just took another bite of my calamari and smiled. He came back a few minutes later, looking stressed. "Who was that, honey?" I asked. "Oh, Just Mr. Harrison, a little work thing. I knew he was lying. He knew I knew he was lying. But we both just sat there, smiling at each other over the candlelight. Two actors in a play that was rapidly turning into a tragedy. The next morning at the office, Yvonne was a storm cloud of fury. When Theo walked in, she immediately confronted him. "Did you have breakfast yet?" she asked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "I already ate. Did you?" "No, I don't have an appetite," she snapped. He knew she was angry about the previous night. "Look, why don't you go grab something from the cafe downstairs?" "On me. You need to keep your strength up for the dinner party at Mr. Harrison's tonight." She glared at him. "I don't think I'll be going, and you can get me a coffee." He hesitated. The rest of the office was watching. He was her boss. He couldn't be seen waiting on her like a servant. "Come on, Theo," she said, her voice louder now. "Get me a coffee." "I'm busy right now," he said, turning away. "You can make it yourself." He walked away, leaving her fuming at her desk. What is wrong with him? I'm a virgin, for Christ's sake, practically gift-wrapping myself for him, and he treats me like this? Is he an idiot? The entire day, he avoided her. At lunch, when everyone else had gone out, she saw her chance. She walked over to his desk and draped herself over his shoulders from behind, her voice a low purr. "What's wrong, Theo? Why are you avoiding me?" He gently pushed her away. "Yvonne, please." Someone could see. She leaned in, her lips brushing against his ear. "After the dinner party tonight, come over to my place. I miss you. I want to be in your arms." He hesitated. Half of him wanted to run, to escape this complicated, messy situation. But the other half was still intensely curious. He thought of her offer, of her supposed innocence, and a thrill went through him. She felt him tense. She slid her hand down his chest, her touch light and teasing. "Do you like that?" she whispered. He nodded, his eyes closing for a fraction of a second. "Yes, I like it very much. Then I'll be waiting for you tonight." He nodded again. "Okay, I'll be there." At Mr. Harrison's sprawling suburban home, the party was in full swing. Laughter and the clinking of glasses filled the air. Theo and I moved through the crowd, the perfect power couple, all smiles and easy charm. Yvonne hovered nearby, a satellite in our orbit, watching us with hungry eyes. Mr. Harrison's wife, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Margaret, who had seen her fair share of office drama over the years, cornered me by the dessert table. She'd been through her own battles with infidelity and had a finely tuned radar for wandering husbands and the women who chased them. "Anna, darling," she said, her voice a low, conspiratorial murmur. "A man as handsome and successful as your Theo, you have to keep a close watch. A very close watch." I knew she was talking about Yvonne, who was at that very moment trying to subtly insert herself into a conversation with Theo. I played dumb, my face a mask of wide-eyed innocence. "Oh, Margaret, what do you mean? I don't understand." Margaret gestured with her chin towards the scene across the room. "You're a sweet girl, but you're naive. There's a wolf in your husband's hen house, and she's practically drooling. You need to make sure you're feeding him well at home. If you know what I mean. Don't let him get hungry and go looking for snacks." Outside, I let a soft, shy laugh escape my lips. The performance was flawless. I leaned in, as if sharing a secret. "Oh, Margaret, you don't have to worry about that, Theo. Well, he's very energetic. In that department, he needs it every single night before he can sleep." Margaret's eyes widened. "Really? I always thought he looked a bit anemic." "Anemic? Oh no," I said, my voice dropping to a seductive whisper. We go for at least an hour. Every night. Goodness. Well, good for you, girl. Yvonne, who had been trying to eavesdrop, overheard our conversation. She stood there, frozen, a look of pure confusion on her face. How could that be? She thought. With his wife, he's a stallion, a marathon man. But with me, he's a disaster of farts and explosive diarrhea. It didn't make sense. I saw the look on her face and felt a surge of triumph. That's right, you little bitch. Let that sink in. A few minutes later, I went to the powder room to touch up my lipstick. Yvonne followed me. The moment the door clicked shut behind us, her sweet facade vanished. Anna, she hissed, you promised. You said if I begged, you'd let him go. Why are you going back on your word? I haven't gone back on my word, I said calmly, applying a fresh coat of crimson to my lips. I know you two have been seeing each other. Have I done anything to stop you? I've given you all the freedom in the world. You're lying. I don't believe you. Believe what you want. But maybe the problem isn't me. Maybe he just doesn't want you. Maybe you're just not exciting enough for him. Her face flushed with anger and humiliation. He's coming to my place tonight, after he drops you off. What do you have to say to that? The words hit me like a punch to the gut. So, they had a plan. Another secret rendezvous. My hand trembled, and I almost dropped my lipstick, but I held it together. I met her gaze in the mirror, my expression unreadable. He said he's coming to your place tonight. Is that right? That's right. So do what you promised. Stay out of it. Let him go. Fine, I said, my voice flat. He's all yours. I don't care. She stormed out, satisfied. I stood there, staring at my reflection, the anger and pain, a toxic cocktail churning inside me. Okay, you want another round? Fine. Let's see if he can perform for you tonight. Theo drove me home, the silence in the car thick with unspoken words. He was trying to come up with a lie, a plausible reason to leave again so late at night. Anna, honey, he started as he pulled into our driveway. I have to go back out. A work thing. I don't know how late I'll be, so you should just lock up and go to bed. To see her, right? I said, my voice devoid of emotion. I know, Theo. You want to go? Go. I got out of the car and went inside. He followed, surprised by my lack of reaction. Do you want some coffee before you go? I asked, my back to him. No, I should get going. It's late. I turned, a fresh cup of coffee in my hands. I walked over to him, stood on my tiptoes to kiss him goodbye, and accidentally spilled a little of the hot liquid on the front of his pants. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was just trying to give you a kiss, and I spilled it all over you. You should go take a shower, get cleaned up. He wanted to get to Yvonne's, but his pants were stained, and the idea of a quick shower was appealing. He'd had a few glasses of wine at the party and was feeling hot and sticky. Okay, good idea. I'll just be a minute. He went into the bathroom. As he always did, he left the task of picking out his clothes to me. It was our little routine. I went to our closet, but instead of picking out a fresh pair of pants and a shirt, I went to a small box on the top shelf. Inside was a bag of dried habanero peppers, some of the hottest in the world. I took out a few of the peppers and, with a grim satisfaction, rubbed the cut side all over the inside of his clean underwear. I laid the clothes out for him on the bed and went downstairs. He came out of the shower a few minutes later, quickly got dressed, and rushed out the door. The moment his car pulled away, I ran downstairs, locked the door, put my phone on airplane mode, turned off all the lights, and went to bed. Let's see how your romantic evening goes now, asshole. He was halfway to Yvonne's apartment when he started to feel it. A strange, tingling heat in his most sensitive area. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat. It grew from a tingle to a persistent, burning itch. He started scratching, but that only made it worse. The itch intensified into a searing, unbearable burn. He couldn't stand it anymore. He pulled over, unbuckled his pants, and looked. To his horror, the entire area was an angry, inflamed red. Small, painful-looking blisters were already beginning to form. What the hell is happening to me? His phone rang. It was Yvonne, her voice a seductive purr. Where are you, handsome? I'm waiting. I'm almost there, he managed to say through gritted teeth. He couldn't turn back now. She was waiting. Dressed in something slinky and provocative, no doubt. He had to see this through. He put the car in drive and continued on, the burning sensation now a full-blown, 5-alarm fire. When he arrived, she was exactly as he'd imagined. A flimsy, silk nightgown, her hair down, her eyes full of promise. She threw her arms around him the moment he stepped through the door. I was so worried. Your wife. She didn't give you any trouble, did she? No trouble, he said, his voice strained. He was in agony. What's wrong? She asked, noticing his discomfort. He was fidgeting, his hands constantly straying towards his crotch. He couldn't bring himself to say it. He just pushed her gently towards the bedroom. He would endure the pain. He had to. She giggled and fell back onto the bed, pulling him down with her. She started kissing him, her hands roaming over his body. But when her hand ventured south, he yelped in pain. What's wrong? She asked again, annoyed now. Don't you like that? No, it's not that. It's just... It hurts. Her frustration boiled over. The romantic mood was shattered. She pulled back and looked down, and then she saw it. His entire groin area was a swollen, blistered, horrifying mess. She scrambled away from him, her face a mask of disgust. Oh my God, what is that? What's wrong with you? Do you have some kind of disease? He was too humiliated to speak. He didn't know what was happening. I don't know. It just started happening. She grabbed a pillow and threw it at him. Get out of my house right now. You're disgusting. He was in too much pain to argue. He pulled on his pants and limped towards the door. I'm sorry, Yvonne. Let me make it up to you some other time. I think I need to go to the hospital. Make it up to me? She shrieked. Do you really think there's going to be another time? After this? Get out. He left, his romantic evening in tatters, his body on fire. Yvonne slammed the door behind him. She was furious, frustrated, and deeply unsatisfied. She rubbed her eyes, still trying to erase the horrific image from her mind. But then, her eyes started to burn. The residue from the pepper oils transferred from his underwear to her hand, and now to her eyes, was causing an intense, stinging pain. Oh my God, she screamed, stumbling towards the bathroom. Did I catch his disease? Am I infected? She frantically splashed water on her face, the burning sensation finally, slowly subsiding. Theo drove home, calling my phone over and over, but it went straight to voicemail. He stood outside our front door, ringing the bell, banging on the door, but the house remained dark and silent. From the bedroom window, I watched him. A pathetic, defeated figure slumped on our doorstep. I let him wait for a good, long while. Finally, when he had sunk to the ground, his head in his hands, I turned my phone back on. It immediately started ringing. Anna, it's me. Open the door. I put on my best sleepy voice. Theo, what's going on? I thought you weren't coming home until the morning. Just open the door, please. I went downstairs and opened the door, my face a picture of innocent surprise. Honey, you're really here. What happened? He stumbled inside. Anna, you have to take me to the hospital right now. I'm in so much pain. I feigned shock and concern. Pain? Where? What's wrong? He pointed downwards. Down. There. It's really bad. I followed him into the bedroom. He dropped his pants, and I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. It was worse than I could have imagined. Swollen, blistered, a truly pathetic sight. Oh, shit. Maybe I overdid it. Oh my God, Theo. I gasped, my voice filled with worry. What happened? How did this happen? I helped him out of his clothes and handed him one of my long, flowing skirts to wear. Here, wear this. It'll be more comfortable. Your pants will just rub against it and make it worse. As he was changing, I grabbed his soiled underwear and threw it in the washing machine, starting a hot cycle immediately. All evidence would be gone. Then I helped him clean the area with warm water, washing away any remaining traces of the pepper oil. By the time we got to the emergency room, there would be no explanation for his condition. As I gently patted him dry, he looked at me, his eyes filled with a new, profound guilt. He saw me, his loving, caring wife, tending to his mysterious, humiliating ailment without question, and he felt like the lowest form of life on the planet. At the hospital, the doctor, a middle-aged man with a weary expression, examined him. Theo was mortified, especially since he was wearing my floral skirt. The doctor looked from Theo's condition to me and then back to Theo, a knowing, cynical look in his eyes. All right, son, level with me. You were with a prostitute, weren't you? Theo's face turned purple. What? No, I wasn't with anyone, the doctor snorted. You weren't with anyone, and this just spontaneously happened. Who do you think you're kidding? I smiled, my sweetest, most supportive smile. Of course, no one would believe him. The evidence had been washed away. The doctor launched into a lecture. I don't know what you men are thinking these days. You have a beautiful wife at home, and you're out there risking everything for cheap thrills. You're going to get an STD, bring it home, and ruin her life. You should be ashamed of yourself. Theo didn't know what to say. He just kept glancing at me, watching my reaction. But I remained a serene, supportive pillar of wifely devotion. He was admitted to the hospital for observation. As he lay in the hospital bed, I sat by his side, holding his hand, stroking his hair, the picture of a perfect, forgiving wife. He looked at me, his eyes full of remorse, and I knew, in that moment, he was mine again. But I wasn't done with him, not by a long shot. The next morning, his mother, Eleanor, came to visit. She was a whirlwind of drama and unfiltered opinions. I don't understand, she announced to the entire ward. My son goes out and sleeps with some cheap hooker, and now his thing is all swollen. It's a disgrace. Several other patients and their families turned to stare. Theo wished the ground would open up and swallow him whole. I tried to quiet her down, but it was no use. She was on a roll. It was only after a thorough examination and a series of tests that the doctor concluded it was some kind of bizarre, severe allergic reaction. He would need to apply a special cream, take a course of injections, and, most importantly, abstain from all activities for at least a month. Theo was just relieved he didn't have to have it amputated. I went into the bathroom and laughed until tears streamed down my face. A month, I thought. Let's see you try to cheat on me now, you bastard." Theo was discharged after a week, his equipment still sore and requiring careful maintenance, but he was well enough to go back to work. The abstinence order from his doctor hung over him like a dark cloud. Somehow, a rumor, a twisted, exaggerated version of the truth, had already started circulating through his office. The story was that the great Theo, the charismatic sales director, had been with a prostitute, contracted some horrific disease, and had to have his penis put in a cast. His boss, Mr. Harrison, a man who relished office gossip, called him. "Theo, my boy," Harrison boomed over the phone. "I'm hearing some wild stories about you. You're the talk of the town. Next time you go on an adventure like that, you have to invite your old boss along. You can't hog all the fun to yourself." Theo was mortified. "Sir, it's not what you think. Everyone is getting it wrong. I didn't even do anything with anyone. It was just a freak accident. A freak accident that landed your junk in a plaster cast?" "Sure, Theo, sure. Next time bring me with you. Sharing is caring, my boy." He hung up, leaving Theo sitting in a puddle of humiliation. The pain was one thing, but this was a whole new level of torture. His first day back at the office was a nightmare. The moment he walked in, a ripple of snickers and suppressed giggles went through the room. Only Yvonne sat at her desk, her face a mask of cold indifference. "What are you all laughing at?" Theo snapped, his voice dangerously low. "I'll fire every last one of you. Get back to work, now." The laughter died instantly. Everyone scurried back to their tasks. He went to see Mr. Harrison and found his boss sporting 2 impressive black eyes. "What happened to you?" Theo asked, startled. Harrison sighed. "It's your fault, you know. My wife, Margaret, she overheard that phone call, the one where I said you should invite me along next time. She thought I was serious. She expressed her displeasure." He touched his bruised eye tenderly. "So, from now on, you go on your little adventures alone, okay? Don't involve me." Theo didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I told you, I'm done with adventures. I'm scared to death. If my wife was like yours, she would have cut the damn thing off and fed it to the dog." Back in his office, he tried to work, but he could feel Yvonne's icy gaze on him. She hadn't said a word to him, hadn't even acknowledged his return. She was furious. He hadn't apologized. He hadn't even called. She brought a file over to his desk, leaned in close, and whispered in his ear, "It's only been a week, and you're already treating me like a stranger." "I've been busy," he mumbled. She reached under the desk and touched his thigh. He flinched, pulling away instinctively. The area was still incredibly sensitive. Her eyes narrowed. A flash of pure malice crossed her face. Before he could react, she brought her hand down, hard, right on his injured groin. A sound, something between a scream and a gasp, was torn from his throat. He shot up from his chair, his body rigid with agony. The entire office turned to stare. Yvonne just gave him a cold, mocking smile, turned, and walked back to her desk. Theo stood there, frozen, his face a mask of pain and humiliation, unable to move, unable to speak. From that day on, he was a changed man. He came home from work on time, every single day. He spent his evenings with me. If he went out, he took me with him. After dinner, he would dutifully go to the bathroom, undress, and apply his medication, his face a constant grimace of pain. I would watch him, a sense of grim satisfaction warring with a flicker of pity. His once proud manhood was now a sad, peeling, discolored mess. "Does it still hurt a lot?" I'd ask, my voice dripping with sympathy. "Yes," he'd groan, "a lot." Today at the office, He caught himself before he could tell me about Yvonne's attack. I'd go over to him, all gentle concern. Here, let me help you with the cream. He would recoil as if I'd offered him a vial of poison. No, it's okay. I can do it. I'd go to bed and pretend to read, a small smile on my face. He would finish his nightly ritual and then, because he was terrified of me accidentally kicking him in his sleep, he'd wait until I was breathing evenly and then carefully move to the floor to sleep on a pile of blankets. One night, I was pretending to be asleep when I heard his phone buzz. He was on the floor, but I saw the screen light up, a text from Yvonne. He didn't reply. A minute later, she called. He scrambled to his feet and scurried into the bathroom to answer. I strained to hear. "What is it? Do you know what time it is?" he whispered. Her voice, shrill and angry even through the closed door, was faint but audible. "I miss you. I can't sleep. You have to come see me. Now. No. You need to go to sleep. I can't come over. Why are you being so cruel to me? Do you want me to die? What are you talking about? Don't say things like that. Just get some sleep. We'll talk tomorrow." I lay in bed, my blood boiling. Even in his current state, he couldn't cut her off. Even now, he was still entertaining her. I should have just chopped it off and been done with it. He came out of the bathroom, tiptoed over to the bed to check on me, and seeing me still and seemingly asleep, he relaxed. He went back to his makeshift bed on the floor and started texting. He was placating her, no doubt, soothing her manufactured hysterics. I had had enough. I sat up. He heard the movement and quickly hid his phone under his pillow, pretending to be asleep. I smirked in the darkness. "You think I'm a fool?" I swung my legs out of bed. "I need to use the bathroom," I mumbled, as if half asleep. The bedroom was dark, lit only by the faint moonlight filtering through the blinds. I could just make out his form on the floor. I pretended not to see him. I took a step, and then another, deliberately bringing my foot down, hard, right on his injured groin. He let out a strangled, inhuman sound of agony. His body convulsed on the floor. I feigned shock. Oh my God, what was that? I reached down and touched him. "Theo, is that you? What are you doing on the floor? I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" He couldn't speak. He just lay there, writhing, his face contorted in a mask of pure, unadulterated pain. And so, we ended up back in the emergency room, with the same doctor. "You again?" the doctor said, looking at Theo with a mixture of pity and exasperation. "Didn't I tell you to abstain? You were supposed to let it heal?" Theo, his voice weak and thready, tried to explain, but the doctor wasn't listening. Later, when we were alone, Theo looked at me, his eyes narrowed with a new, dawning suspicion. "You did it on purpose, didn't you?" he whispered. "This, all of this. It was you, wasn't it? I've been suspecting it for days. It was you. The game was up. There was no point in pretending anymore." I looked him straight in the eye, my own gaze hard and cold. "Yes," I said, my voice flat. "It was me. All of it. This is the price you pay for cheating. Theo, you thought I was stupid? You thought I didn't know what you were doing behind my back?" His face went from suspicion to pure, unadulterated shock. You're evil. What if you've permanently damaged me? You should have thought of that before you started screwing around with your little intern," I spat. "You have no one to blame but yourself." He stared at me, truly seeing me for the first time. The sweet, docile wife was gone. In her place was a stranger, a woman capable of a cold, calculated cruelty he had never imagined. "Get out," he whispered, his voice trembling with a mixture of rage and fear. "I don't want to see your face. Get out." I smiled, a thin, bitter smile. "Fine by me." I walked out of the hospital and didn't look back. I went home and called Yvonne. "Hey, bitch, it's Anna. Come to my house. You can pick up all of Theo's shit. I'm done with him." She was suspicious. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I don't want to see a single thing that belongs to him in my house ever again. So get over here and get it, now, before I burn it all." She was afraid to come alone, so she brought 5 of her friends with her. They stood at my front gate and rang the bell. I opened the upstairs window. "Hey, I'm up here," I yelled down. "Open the gate," she shouted back. "We're here to get Theo's things." I laughed. "I'm not opening the gate, just stay right there." And then I started throwing his belongings out the window. His expensive suits, his designer shoes, his collection of antique vases that he loved so much, which shattered on the pavement below. Yvonne and her friends stared up, their mouths agape, dodging the falling debris. "What are you doing?" she screamed. "You'll ruin everything." "So what?" I yelled back. "He's ruined. Why should his things be any different? He's all yours now. I'm giving him to you. Congratulations." They just stood there, stunned. "Are you going to pick it up or not?" I shouted. "Or should I let the dogs out to help you?" That got them moving. One of her friends, terrified of dogs, started frantically gathering the clothes from the sidewalk. They stuffed everything into garbage bags and scurried away. I closed the window, slid down to the floor, and finally let myself cry. I cried until I had no tears left, until I was just a hollow, empty shell. It was over. It was really, truly over. At the hospital, Yvonne arrived with the garbage bags full of his belongings. "I'm here, baby," she said, her voice soft and triumphant. What's all this?" he asked, confused. She told him what I had done. He was stunned. She really did that. She's a psycho, Theo. But don't worry, now we can be together. I'll take care of you. We'll get married as soon as you're divorced." He looked at her smiling, eager face, and felt a flicker of something. Not love, but a kind of resigned gratitude. She was here. She wanted him. Anna, the woman he had loved, had turned into a monster. "Yes," he said, his voice weak. "As soon as I'm out of here, we'll start our new life together." That night, Yvonne insisted on sleeping in his hospital bed with him. He was reluctant, terrified of any accidental contact, but she pouted and sulked until he agreed. He lay on the very edge of the narrow bed, rigid with fear. She fell asleep almost instantly, and she began to snore, loudly, like a chainsaw. It was a deafening, guttural sound that filled the small, dark room. He couldn't sleep. He was in pain, his mind was racing, and the woman next to him was snoring like a freight train. He carefully got out of bed to get a glass of water. As he was standing there, she suddenly sat bolt upright in her sleep, laughing maniacally, her arms flailing wildly like she was fighting off imaginary demons. He stared at her, horrified, and then one of her flailing legs caught him square in the chest, sending him flying backwards. He landed hard on the floor, the impact jarring his entire body, and a fresh wave of agony shot through his already traumatized groin. He lay on the floor, gasping for breath, unable to move, unable to speak. He called her name over and over, but she just lay back down and continued to snore, oblivious. He looked at the sleeping woman, at her peaceful, angelic face, and a single, terrifying thought echoed in his mind. What have I done? After 3 days of self-imposed confinement, nursing my broken heart with cheap wine and sad movies, I finally pulled myself together. I showered, put on makeup, and went back to work. But I was a ghost, moving through the motions, my mind a million miles away. That evening, I couldn't bear the thought of going back to that empty, silent house. So I went to a bar, a dark, quiet little place with soft jazz music and strong cocktails. I sat alone at a corner table, drinking. The alcohol burned, but it was a good burn, a welcome distraction from the searing pain in my chest. One drink turned into 2, then 3, then I lost count. By 11 o'clock, I was wasted. The bartender, a kind-faced man with worry in his eyes, gently cut me off. I paid my tab and stumbled out into the cool night air. I couldn't find my car keys. Had I driven here? I couldn't remember. So I started walking. I was a mess, weaving, stumbling, my high heels catching in the cracks of the sidewalk. I drifted from the sidewalk into the street, a drunken, wobbling hazard to navigation. A car behind me honked, a sharp, insistent sound. I ignored it. I started singing, some sad, forgotten song from my teenage years, my voice a wavering, off-key mess. The car honked again, longer this time. "Hey, lady, get on the sidewalk," a man's voice called out. I just kept walking, lost in my own drunken misery. The car pulled up beside me. A man leaned out of the window. He was handsome, in a clean-cut, serious sort of way. "Are you trying to get yourself killed?" he asked, his voice a mixture of annoyance and concern. "You can't just walk in the middle of the street." He got out of his car, a sleek, expensive-looking sedan, and gently tried to guide me to the sidewalk. I recoiled, swatting his hand away. "Leave me alone. What do you want?" I slurred. He sighed, exasperated. "Look, if you don't care about your own safety, at least think about the rest of us. If someone hits you, it's a tragedy for you, and a nightmare for them." I slapped him, not hard, but it was a slap nonetheless. "It's none of your business. Go away." He just looked at me for a long moment, and then, before I could react, he scooped me up and deposited me in the passenger seat of his car. "What are you doing?" I shrieked, suddenly sobered by a jolt of fear. "Are you kidnapping me? Let me out." He got in the driver's seat and locked the doors. He looked at me, a small, wry smile on his face. "Relax, I'm taking you home. Now, where do you live?" I looked at him, really looked at him. He seemed decent, and I was too tired, too drunk, too sad to fight anymore. I gave him my address. "I'm Noah, by the way," he said as he pulled away from the curb. "I actually live just a few blocks from you." He glanced at me. "So, you have a family?" "Yes." "A husband?" "Yes." "So where is he? Why is he letting you wander around drunk in the middle of the night?" "He's with his other woman," I said, the words spilling out before I could stop them. Noah was silent for a moment. "Ah, so that's why you were drinking alone. I'm sorry." I didn't reply. I just leaned my head against the cool glass of the window and closed my eyes. The next thing I knew, he was gently shaking my shoulder. "We're here," he said. I opened my eyes. We were in front of my house. My head was spinning and a wave of nausea washed over me. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I'm fine," I mumbled. He got out and came around to open my door, helping me out of the car. The moment I was on my feet, the nausea intensified. I turned and without any warning, threw up all over the front of his expensive-looking suit. "Oh my God," he gasped, jumping back, a look of pure horror on his face. You threw up all over me." He frantically stripped off his jacket, which was now covered in a foul-smelling, semi-digested mess of bar nuts and expensive gin. "I'm so sorry," I slurred, fumbling in my purse. Here. I pulled out $200 bills and shoved them at him for a new suit. He looked at the money, then at me, and his expression softened from disgust to a kind of weary amusement. He gently pushed the money back into my hand. Keep it. Now, can you please just go inside? You're a menace. I fumbled in my purse again, this time for my keys. They weren't there. I must have dropped them somewhere. Oh, crap. I can't find my keys. He groaned. Of course you can't. So now what? It's okay, I said, a flash of drunken brilliance striking me. I'll just climb the gate. And before he could stop me, I was scrambling up the wrought iron gate at the front of our yard. I was wearing a dress, and I was not graceful. He averted his eyes, a pained expression on his face. I made it to the top, teetered for a moment, and then jumped, landing in an undignified heap on the lawn, my dress tangled around my waist. I'm okay, I called out, giving him a thumbs up. Safe landing. You can go home now. He just stood there for a moment, shaking his head, a slow smile spreading across his face. Good night, Anna, he said to the empty street, and drove away. The next morning, Eleanor showed up at the hospital to see Theo. She found Yvonne there, munching on a bag of chips, her feet up on the bed. Theo was asleep, his face bruised and swollen from a sleepless night. What are you doing here? Eleanor asked, her voice dripping with disdain. I'm taking care of Theo, of course, Yvonne said, not bothering to sit up. We're going to get married as soon as he's divorced, so you might as well get used to calling me your daughter-in-law. Eleanor's eyes narrowed. I will never accept you. I only have one daughter-in-law, and her name is Anna. She turned to Theo, who was now awake. And you, what have you been eating that's made you so stupid? I talked to Anna. She told me everything. How could you do this to her? Theo's own anger flared. How could I do this to her? Do you have any idea what she did to me? She's the reason I'm in this hospital bed, Mom. And you're still defending her? It's your own damn fault. If you weren't out chasing cheap thrills, none of this would have happened. If it were me, I would have cut it off. Yvonne, still munching on her chips, decided to chime in. Anna is nothing special. I don't know why you're so obsessed with her. Look at your son. Don't you feel any sympathy for him? He's my son, Eleanor said, her voice rising. And I'm telling him he's making the biggest mistake of his life. I will not allow this. Theo sat up, his face set in a stubborn frown. I'm divorcing her, Mom. It's my decision. You can't stop me. Eleanor's face turned red with fury. Fine, then you're no son of mine. I disown you. And that house, the one I bought for you and Anna, it's hers. You're not getting a penny. You set one foot in that house, and I'll have you arrested for trespassing. Theo was stunned. He had never seen his mother so angry. And you, Eleanor said, turning to Yvonne. You think you've won? You've won a homeless, disowned man. I hope you're very happy together. She stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her. Yvonne looked at Theo, a new, cold calculation in her eyes. She's serious? You're not getting the house? But it's worth millions. You have to fight her for it. It should be split, 50-50. Theo just sighed, his head throbbing. The house is in her name, Yvonne. She bought it for us as a wedding gift. It's legally hers to give to whomever she wants. So what are we going to do? She wailed. We can't live in my tiny rental apartment forever. He looked at her pouting, selfish face, and for the first time felt a flicker of doubt. Eleanor came to see me. She found me sitting alone in the big, empty house, looking out at the garden. She told me everything, that she had disowned Theo, that the house was mine. She begged me to forgive him, to take him back. He's just being stupid, Anna, she pleaded, tears in her eyes. He'll come to his senses. Please, just give him one more chance. But I just shook my head. He's the one who wants the divorce, Eleanor. Not me. She stayed with me for a few days, a comforting, if chaotic, presence in the house. She cooked for me, she talked to me, she tried to mend the pieces of my broken heart. But Theo was resolute. He filed for divorce. He was out of the hospital now, living with Yvonne in her cramped apartment, a situation that was already starting to fray at the edges. He was sleeping on the couch to avoid any accidents. Yvonne was growing increasingly resentful, her sweet, innocent act wearing thin. She didn't cook, she didn't clean, and she complained constantly about their lack of money. A few days later, the company held a major town hall meeting. A new executive was being introduced. The CEO of their parent company in Korea had sent his son to oversee the U.S. operations. Everyone gathered in the main conference room. Mr. Harrison took the stage. "Everyone, I'd like you to welcome our new Chief Operating Officer," he announced. "He's just arrived from Seoul to take over from his father. Please give a warm welcome to Noah." And then he walked in. The man from the bar. The man who had driven me home. The man I had thrown up on. My jaw dropped. He saw me in the crowd. I was there with Eleanor, who had insisted on bringing me a care package, and a slow, amused smile spread across his face. He took the microphone. "Thank you, everyone. I'm looking forward to working with you all." His eyes found mine again. "I'm sure we're going to have a very interesting time together." After the meeting, Eleanor, who had no filter, marched right up to him. "You're the new boss, huh? Do you know a man named Theo? He's my good-for-nothing son. He's sleeping with one of his employees, a little tramp named Yvonne. It's a disgrace. My daughter-in-law here, Anna, is a saint, and he's treating her like dirt." Noah looked at me, his eyes twinkling. "Is that so? I'm new here, so I'm not familiar with the office politics just yet." I wanted to die of embarrassment. "Mom, please. You can't just say things like that." Eleanor was unstoppable. "Why not? It's the truth. This company needs to know what kind of degenerates it's employing." As we walked away, Noah fell into step beside us. He leaned in and whispered to me, "So, you don't remember me at all, do you?" I looked at him, confused. "Have we met before?" Just then, Theo and Yvonne walked by. Theo saw me with the new, handsome COO and his mother, and a dark, ugly look crossed his face. Jealousy. Eleanor saw it too. She turned to Noah, a mischievous glint in her eye. "Noah, dear, are you married?" "No, ma'am, I'm not. Would you like to be?" "My daughter-in-law here is about to be single. She's a wonderful girl." I was mortified. "Mom," Theo stopped in his tracks, staring at us. Noah just smiled. "I would be honored. If Anna agrees, I'll start pursuing her immediately." He was playing along, enjoying the drama, and I was caught in the middle. "Are you insane?" I hissed at him. "We don't even know each other." He just winked at me. "The night you were so drunk you climbed a gate in a dress? You threw up on my $1,000 suit? It doesn't ring a bell?" And then it all came flooding back. The bar, the car, the gate. My face turned a shade of crimson I didn't know was possible. Theo was still staring, his face a thundercloud of rage. He had thrown me away, but he couldn't stand the thought of another man picking me up. Yvonne pulled on his arm. "Let's go, Theo." As they walked away, Eleanor called after them. "Have you thought it through, son? Once you sign those papers, it's final." Yvonne turned and sneered. "He's made his choice. You should accept it." Eleanor smiled a sweet, dangerous smile. "Oh, I have. I'm going to find Anna a new husband, a better one. She grabbed my arm and Noah's and pulled us away, leaving the entire office buzzing with fresh, delicious gossip. Noah drove Eleanor and me home. The plush leather interior of his car, a silent, luxurious bubble cutting through the city traffic. Eleanor was still fuming, muttering under her breath about her stupid, ungrateful son and the silver-tongued little tramp who had bewitched him. I just stared out the window, the city lights blurring into abstract streaks of color. I felt numb, hollowed out. Noah glanced at me in the rearview mirror. "Don't be sad," he said, his voice gentle. "If you still love him, maybe just give it some time. He might regret his decision and come back to you." Eleanor snorted. "Come back? A man who runs off with another woman and then comes crawling back to his wife. In my day, maybe we put up with that nonsense because of the children, but this is the 21st century. Women are independent now. They don't need to depend on anyone, especially not a man who treats them like dirt." Noah smiled. "You're not like most mothers I know, Eleanor. Most would defend their sons to the death." "Theo is my son, and I love him," she said, her voice softening for a moment. "But his father was the same way, always had a wandering eye. I know the pain Anna is feeling right now. I stayed with him because of Theo. But Anna, she doesn't have children yet. She can start over. She must start over." She took my hand, her grip surprisingly strong. "You divorce him. You hear me? You find a good man, and you be happy. I support you, 100%. Tears pricked my eyes. "I will," I whispered. "I'll be okay. I'm going back to my classes tonight. I need to focus on my career." "And what about me?" Noah asked from the front seat, a playful lilt in his voice. I looked at his reflection in the mirror. "What about you? What does any of this have to do with you?" "We're here," he said, pulling up to my gate. "You know, getting married isn't like buying groceries at the market. It's a process. You have to get to know someone." "I know," I said, getting out of the car. "And I'm not interested." As I walked towards the house, Eleanor lingered by the car, whispering something to Noah. I saw him smile and hand her his phone. I just shook my head. A mother-in-law, heartbroken over her son's betrayal, now playing matchmaker for her soon-to-be ex-daughter-in-law. It was a situation so bizarre, it had to be a world record. That night, I woke up thirsty. I went downstairs and found Eleanor in the darkened living room, whispering into the phone. She saw me and quickly ended the call. "Mom, you're still awake?" She jumped. "Oh, Anna, you startled me. I just came down for a glass of water." "Why are the lights off?" "Oh, you know, the glare hurts my old eyes." She yawned dramatically. "Well, we should get back to bed. I'll make you my special pho for breakfast tomorrow." The next morning, she was true to her word. A steaming, fragrant bowl of pho was waiting for me on the table. "You're up," she said, bustling around the kitchen. "Eat up, dear. I have to. Run an errand." "An errand? So early? You've been acting so strange lately, Mom. Are you dating?" "Don't be ridiculous," she huffed. But a faint blush colored her cheeks. "An old woman like me. Now, eat. I'll be back later." She rushed out, leaving me to my breakfast and my suspicions. At a quiet coffee shop across town, Noah was waiting. Eleanor slid into the booth opposite him. "You're here," he said, smiling. "I've already ordered you a latte." "Thank you, dear. Now, let's get down to business." She took a sip of her coffee, her expression serious. "You're Theo's boss, correct?" In a manner of speaking, yes. He's in the sales division, which is managed by Mr. Kwong, but ultimately, yes, I'm his boss. I need you to do something for me, she said, her voice low and firm. I want you to hire Anna. I want you to give her a good position at the company, a position of power. Noah was taken aback. He leaned back, studying her. And why would you want that, Eleanor? Because I want that stupid son of mine to wake up, she said, her voice trembling with a mixture of anger and sadness. I want him to see what he's lost. I want him to realize what a terrible, irreversible mistake he's made. And what if he and Yvonne make her life miserable? Have you considered that? I have, she said, her eyes meeting his. That's why I need you. I need you to protect her. Can you do that for me? He thought for a moment. Getting her a job is the easy part, but I don't think she'll accept. She would never agree to work in the same office as her ex-husband and his mistress. I'll convince her, Eleanor said, her voice filled with a new, steely resolve. Just tell me you'll do it. He nodded. I will. Eleanor's campaign to get me to work at Noah's company was relentless. It's a huge opportunity, Anna. The pay is fantastic, the benefits are incredible, and Noah likes you. It's perfect. Mom, are you insane? Work there? And have to see Theo and Yvonne every single day? Absolutely not. I'd rather work at McDonald's, but think of the revenge, she hissed, her eyes gleaming. You can walk in there, powerful and successful, and make that little tramp's life a living hell. Don't you want that, after what she did to you? No, I said, though a small, dark part of me was tempted. Revenge isn't the answer. My divorce will be finalized in 2 weeks. I just want to move on. I want peace. She pleaded. She begged. She emotionally blackmailed me, but I wouldn't budge. I thought that if I just ignored them, if I just focused on my own life, they would fade into the background. I was wrong. Yvonne, still simmering with resentment over the pasta incident and the public humiliation I had inadvertently caused her, was not the type to let things go. She was plotting her own revenge. She called a man she knew, a shady character with a criminal record. Hey, I need you to do something for me. What's in it for me? His gravelly voice replied. Money. Whatever you want. I just need you to teach someone a lesson. Consider it done, he said. Just tell me who. I was on my way to visit my parents, a rare day off. I was driving down a quiet, empty stretch of road when a motorcycle pulled up beside me. The man on the back called out to me, Hey, can you give me directions? I slowed down, rolling down my window, thinking he was just a lost tourist. He reached out, as if to steady himself on my car, and in a flash of movement, something sharp and cold raked across my cheek. Then he was gone, the motorcycle speeding off into the distance. I didn't understand what had happened at first. Then I felt the pain, a searing, white-hot line across my face. I touched my cheek. My fingers came away, covered in blood. I pulled over, my hands shaking uncontrollably. I looked at my reflection in the rearview mirror. A deep, ugly gash ran from my ear to the corner of my mouth. Some teenagers drove by and saw me, saw the blood. Oh my God, are you okay? Do you need help? But I couldn't answer. The world was spinning, going dark at the edges. And then, everything went black. It's done, the thug said to Yvonne over the phone. She's on her way to the hospital. It's a deep one, at least 30 stitches. She'll be scarred for life. Perfect, Yvonne purred. Next, I want you to do the same thing to her chest. No, wait. I have a better idea. I want you to throw acid on her chest. Let's see who'll want to sleep with her then. You're a sick woman, he said, but there was a note of admiration in his voice. Now, what about my payment? He came over to her apartment later that day to collect. She handed him a thick envelope of cash. He took it, but then he grabbed her, his hands rough. his breath smelling of stale cigarettes. "You know, I don't just want money, baby," he growled, and pushed her towards the bedroom. They were in the middle of their sordid transaction when her doorbell rang. "Who the hell is that?" he snarled. She peeked through the blinds. "Oh, shit. It's Theo. He's back early. So, let him see. Maybe he'll finally get the hint and leave you alone. You're mine, not his." "No," she hissed, pushing him away. "You have to hide. He can't find you here." She shoved him into the closet just as Theo unlocked the front door. "Why are you home so early?" she asked, trying to sound casual, her heart pounding in her chest. "The client meeting ended early. Mr. Harrison gave me a loan. We can go look at houses now. We can finally buy a place of our own." Her eyes lit up. "Really? Oh, Theo, that's wonderful." She threw her arms around him, her relief at his news momentarily eclipsing her fear of being caught. He sighed. "It's going to take me 3 years to pay him back. I wish my mom would just give me my share of the money she's been holding for me." "You have to demand it," she said, her voice turning hard. "You can't let her and that bitch Anna get away with it. That house is half yours. That's $3 million. You have to fight for it." He just looked at her, a weary expression on his face. "Let's talk about it later. Did you go to the market?" "I'm starving." "No, I didn't have time. I told you this morning to go. All I asked you to do was one simple thing. It was too hot. And the market is so dirty. It smells." He just stared at her, a look of profound disappointment on his face. He turned and walked out the door. "Fine, I'll go myself." The moment he was gone, she yanked open the closet door. "He's gone. Get out." The thug emerged, scowling. "He's gone for 5 minutes. Not enough time. Let's finish what we started." He pushed her onto the bed, and this time, she didn't fight back. "Eleanor and Noah found me in the hospital. My face was a swollen, painful mess, a railroad track of 26 black stitches running across my cheek. Eleanor screamed when she saw me. Noah just stood there, his face pale, his fists clenched at his sides. "I know who did this," Eleanor spat, pacing the room like a caged tiger. "It was that little witch. I'm going to the police." Noah just took my hand, his touch surprisingly gentle. "Does it hurt a lot?" he asked, his voice low. I just shook my head, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. "Don't worry," he said, his eyes meeting mine. "Modern medicine is incredible. If they can't fix it here, I'll take you to the best plastic surgeons in Korea. You'll be beautiful again. I promise." He stayed with me, a quiet, steady presence, until I fell into an exhausted, dreamless sleep. Later, after a sordid, sweaty encounter, Yvonne lay in bed, feeling sick and exhausted. Her boyfriend, the thug, was asleep beside her, snoring loudly. Theo returned from the market, his arms full of groceries. He went into the kitchen and started to cook, the familiar, comforting sounds of chopping and sizzling filling the small apartment. He thought of our home, of the way I would always have a delicious, home-cooked meal waiting for him when he got home. He looked around Yvonne's messy, soulless apartment and felt a profound, aching loneliness. He finished cooking and went to wake her up. She was sleeping so soundly he had to shake her several times. "Yvonne, wake up, dinner's ready." She stirred, her eyes fluttering open. She looked at him, and for a moment, he saw a flicker of something in her eyes. Fear? Guilt? "Come on," he said, his voice gentle. "I made your favorite." They were just sitting down to eat when all hell broke loose. A loud, furious banging on the front door, followed by Eleanor's voice, amplified by rage. screaming, "Yvonne, you worthless piece of trash. Get out here. You're going to pay for what you did." Yvonne's face went white. "It's your mother. She knows. What do we do?" Theo rushed to the window and saw his mother, standing in the middle of the street, screaming at their building. A crowd of curious neighbors beginning to gather. "What did you do?" he hissed at Yvonne. "Why is she here?" "I didn't do anything," she lied, her voice trembling. "Go down there and make her leave." Eleanor, seeing that her shouting was having no effect, spotted a pile of bricks at a nearby construction site. She grabbed one and started hurling it at their front door. The neighbors gasped. The owner of the construction site ran out, yelling, "Hey, those are my bricks." Eleanor turned to him, her eyes blazing. "How much for the whole pile?" she demanded. "I'll pay you 10 times what they're worth. I need ammunition." The man, stunned into silence, just nodded. The bricks kept coming, slamming against the door with a series of deafening thuds. "We have to let her in," Theo said, his voice filled with a weary resignation. "She's not going to stop. No, she'll destroy everything. She's my mother, Yvonne." He ran downstairs and opened the door. She pushed past him, a brick still in her hand, her face a mask of fury. "Where is she?" she screamed, storming into the apartment. "Where is that little monster?" Yvonne had locked herself in the bathroom. Eleanor saw the closed door and marched towards it. "I know you're in there, you cowardly little bitch. Come out and face me." She raised the brick and threw it, shattering the frosted glass of the bathroom door. Theo ran to stop her, but she was a woman possessed. Yvonne, terrified, threw open the door and made a run for it. As she sprinted through the living room, she tripped over the pile of bricks Eleanor had created by the front door and went down, hard, her face smashing into the jagged pile. Just then, the police, called by a nervous neighbor, arrived. They found a scene of chaos. A screaming old woman, a hysterical young woman with a bloody, mangled face, and a man standing in the middle of it all, looking like he wished the world would end. At the hospital, the doctor emerged from the operating room, his face grim. He found Theo pacing in the waiting area. "Mr. Theodore," he began, "your wife's fall was quite severe. Her nose was badly broken, and we've done our best to reconstruct it. But there will be significant scarring. However, there is some good news. The baby is unharmed." Theo stared at him, bewildered. "The baby? What baby?" "Your wife is pregnant," the doctor said, a hint of confusion in his voice. "You're the husband, and you didn't know?" Theo was speechless. Pregnant? But they had been careful. He had been using protection. It didn't make sense. The doctor, misinterpreting his shock, just smiled. "Well, these things happen, even with precautions. Congratulations, you're going to be a father." He walked away, leaving Theo in a state of stunned disbelief. A father. He was going to be a father. The thought, once a distant, happy dream he'd shared with me, was now a shocking, complicated reality with another woman. Maybe the doctor is right, he thought, a wave of paternal feeling washing over him, eclipsing his doubts. Maybe it was just a fluke. He went into Yvonne's room. Her face was a swollen, bandaged mess. She was still unconscious. He sat by her bed, took her hand, and felt a surge of protective tenderness. She was the mother of his child. "Yvonne," he whispered to her sleeping form, "I'm so sorry. Please, get well soon. We'll get married, just like we planned. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of our baby." He was furious with his mother, furious with me. In his mind, we were the villains who had brought this suffering upon his new, fragile family. Yvonne and their unborn child were all that mattered now. I was slowly recovering. The physical pain was subsiding, but the emotional scars, they were a different story. My own mother, a practical, no-nonsense woman, was a constant, if somewhat abrasive, presence. "I don't know why you're still so hung up on that family," she'd say, fluffing my pillows with unnecessary vigor. "That boy treated you like garbage, and his mother is a lunatic. You need to cut ties with them, Anna, for good." "Theo was terrible to me, Mom," I'd say, my voice weary. "But Eleanor, she's been good to me. She's the only one who stood up for me." Noah was a more gentle comfort. He visited every day, bringing me books and flowers, sitting with me for hours, talking about everything and nothing. One afternoon, my mother was in the middle of one of her tirades when Theo appeared in the doorway of my hospital room. His face was a thundercloud. He saw the scar on my face, the angry red line that now defined me, and for a fleeting moment, I saw a flicker of shock, of something that might have been regret, but it was gone as quickly as it appeared. "What are you doing here?" I asked, instinctively pulling the sheet up to cover my face. "I have business with you," he said, his voice cold. My mother, never one to mince words, picked up a glass of water from my bedside table and threw it in his face. "You son of a bitch," she shrieked. "Look at her. Look what you've done. Are you happy now? I hope you and that little whore of yours get hit by a bus." He wiped the water from his face, his expression hardening into a mask of pure fury. "You shut your mouth. You talk about who's evil. Because of your daughter, Yvonne, and my baby almost died. She's in the hospital right now, fighting for her life. So don't you dare talk to me about who's more evil, his baby." The words hit me with the force of a physical blow. "She's pregnant?" I whispered. "Yes, she is. So you listen to me, and you listen good. The only thing left between us is a court date. You stay away from me, and you stay away from my family. Do you understand?" I looked at him, at the man I had once loved more than life itself, and felt nothing but a cold, empty void. I touched the scar on my cheek. "You think I still want you?" I said, my voice dripping with a scorn I didn't know I possessed. "I can't wait to be divorced from you. I just hope, for your sake, that the baby is actually yours. I'd hate for you to have gone through all this just to raise another man's child. Get out," he snarled, gladly. The day of our divorce was gray and overcast, a perfect reflection of my mood. It was a clean break. Thanks to Eleanor's testimony and the evidence of his infidelity, the house and a significant portion of our assets were awarded to me. He walked away with nothing but his freedom. He seemed happy about it. As we walked out of the courthouse, he even had the audacity to smile at me. "What's so funny?" I asked, my voice flat. "You," he said. "You look so miserable. Is it that hard to let me go?" He shook his head, a look of faux pity on his face. "You know, if you had just been a little more appreciative, a little less crazy, we wouldn't be here right now. You have no one to blame but yourself." I snapped. "You shut your goddamn mouth." He just laughed, a cruel, mocking sound that echoed in the quiet plaza. He was laughing at my pain. Suddenly, a figure appeared out of nowhere. Noah. He had come to pick me up. He saw Theo laughing, saw the tears welling in my eyes, and he strode over and punched Theo square in the face. Theo went down, hard. He lay on the pavement, a trickle of blood coming from his lip, a look of stunned disbelief on his face. "You think this is funny?" Noah snarled, standing over him. "You think her pain is a joke? You're a pathetic excuse for a man. Theo scrambled to his feet, wiping the blood from his mouth. He laughed again, a wild, unhinged sound. And what are you, her new knight in shining armor? You two have been sneaking around behind my back for weeks. You're no better than I am. Noah lunged for him again, grabbing him by the collar of his shirt. Say that again. I dare you. Noah, stop, I cried, pulling on his arm. He's not worth it. Let's just go. He hesitated, his jaw tight with fury, and then he let go. He took my hand, and we walked away, leaving Theo standing there, a pathetic, defeated figure in a suit that was now too big for him. In the car, I was silent. Noah drove, his hands tight on the steering wheel. Let's get something to eat, he said finally, his voice gentle. My treat. I shook my head. I can't. I don't want to go out in public. Not with this. I touched my cheek. I think it's beautiful, he said, not missing a beat. From a distance, it looks like a cool tattoo. He smiled, trying to lighten the mood. Come on, just one meal. For me. I finally agreed. At the hospital, Yvonne was awake and recovering. You're awake, Theo said, his face lighting up. How are you feeling? My face hurts, she mumbled from behind her bandages. Where did you get the money for the surgery? I thought you were broke. I borrowed it from Mr. Harrison, he said. Don't worry about it. Just focus on getting better. For you. And for our baby. Her eyes widened. Baby? What baby? He smiled. You're pregnant, the doctor told me. We're going to be a family. A look of pure, unadulterated panic flashed across her face. Pregnant. Oh, shit. That bastard thug. He never used a condom. Now, what am I going to do? Theo, she said, her voice trembling. We can't have a baby now. We don't have any money. We don't even have a place to live. Maybe we should get rid of it. Absolutely not, he said, his voice firm. It's our child. I'll take care of everything. I promise. She just nodded, a plan already forming in her mind. This baby could not be born. It wasn't his, and if he ever found out, she would lose everything. As soon as she was out of this hospital, she was getting an abortion. Noah was true to his word. The day after our divorce was finalized, he arranged for me to see a team of top plastic surgeons. They told me that with a series of treatments, they could significantly reduce the appearance of the scar, but it would take time. I have a better idea, Noah said. We're going to Korea. He arranged everything. He put Mr. Kwong in charge of the company, and for the next month, he dedicated himself completely to my recovery. We flew to Seoul, where I underwent a series of cutting-edge laser treatments and skin grafts. The trip was transformative, not just for my face, but for my soul. Away from the ghosts of my old life, I began to heal. Noah was by my side every step of the way, a constant, comforting presence. He made me laugh again. He showed me that there was a world beyond my pain. One evening, as we were walking along the Han River, he stopped and turned to me. Anna, he said, his voice serious, I'm going to make you a promise. If, in 1 year from today, I'm still single, and you are too, you have to be my girlfriend. Deal? I just laughed. Okay, Noah, it's a deal. Meanwhile, back in Chicago, Mr. Kwong was enjoying his temporary promotion a little too much. He sat in Noah's big leather chair, spinning around, a smug look on his face. This was the life. He was born to be in charge. Theo came to see him, looking for another loan. You know, Kwong said, a sly, calculating look in his eyes. I hear our boss is off in Korea with your ex-wife on a very long, very expensive vacation. While we're here, slaving away, Theo's jaw tightened. The thought of me with Noah, happy, in another country, it was like a knife in his gut. "What's your point?" he asked. Kwang leaned forward, his voice a low, conspiratorial whisper. "My point is, this is our chance. A chance to take what's ours. A chance for you to get your revenge. Are you in?" Theo looked at him, at the greedy ambition in his eyes, and a new, dark resolve settled in his heart. "What do I have to do?" When Noah and I returned from Korea a month later, I was a new woman. My skin was flawless, the scar all but invisible. I had a new haircut, a new wardrobe, a new outlook on life. Noah called a meeting. Theo and Kwang walked in, and when they saw me, standing beside Noah, looking radiant and confident, their jaws dropped. "Everyone," Noah announced, "I have an important announcement to make. From now on, Anna will be taking over my duties as COO. I'll be focusing on expanding our international operations. All company matters will now go through her." Theo stared at me, his face a mixture of shock and disbelief. You can't be serious." "Her? She's a glorified bookkeeper." Noah's expression hardened. "Is that how you speak to your superior, Mr. Theodore? Perhaps you'd prefer to be unemployed?" Theo's mouth snapped shut. He couldn't afford to lose his job. Not now. I'm sorry," he mumbled, his eyes on the floor. "Louder," I said, my voice cool and clear. He looked up, his eyes meeting mine. They were filled with a burning, impotent rage. "I'm sorry," he said, through gritted teeth. Kwang, ever the diplomat, stepped in. "Let's not get sidetracked by personal matters. This is a place of business. What's in the past is in the past." I nodded. "You're right, Mr. Kwang. From now on, our relationship will be strictly professional. I have no interest in anything else." But as I looked at Theo, at the humiliation and hatred in his eyes, I knew this was just the beginning. After the meeting, I found Noah in his office, packing up his personal belongings. "I'm scared, Noah," I confessed, leaning against the doorframe. "I don't think I can do this. What if I mess up?" He came over and took my hands, his grip warm and steady. "You'll be fine. I believe in you, and I'll still be here to support you. You are the queen of my heart, Anna. You can do anything." I blushed. "Don't be silly. What if I bankrupt the company?" He laughed. "Then we'll move to Korea and live a simple life. No big deal." He squeezed my hands. "Now, don't forget our promise." 1 year, I smiled. I remember. My first order of business as the new COO was to go through the company's files. I was looking for something specific, and then I found it. Vanessa's termination record. The reason cited was gross misconduct, but the details were vague. I called my new assistant. "Find this woman for me. Tell her I need to speak with her." My assistant found her within the hour. I called the number she gave me. Vanessa answered, her voice a familiar, hostile snarl. "What do you want?" "Hello, Vanessa. It's Anna. I just wanted to let you know that Theo and Yvonne are getting married. They're having a baby." "What does that have to do with me? If you want your husband back, go fight for him yourself. Why are you calling me?" "Oh, Theo and I are divorced," I said, my voice breezy. "I'm just calling because I was reviewing your file, and I think you were wrongfully terminated. If you want your old job back, it's yours." There was a stunned silence on the other end of the line. "Think about it," I said, and hung up. The next morning, Vanessa called me back. She wanted the job. I told her to come in on Monday. The stage was now set. All the players were in place, and the second act of my revenge was about to begin. Yvonne was feeling sick. The morning sickness was relentless, and she was starting to show. This little parasite, she thought, pressing a hand to her still flat stomach. I have to get rid of it. She went to the doctor, hoping he would tell her she was healthy enough for the procedure. But the news was not good. Due to the trauma of her previous injuries, her health was still fragile. Terminating the pregnancy now would be risky. It could affect her ability to have children in the future. She left the clinic in a state of turmoil. She couldn't risk her future fertility, but she also couldn't have this baby. It was a ticking time bomb. If Theo ever found out it wasn't his. She made a decision. She hailed a cab and gave the driver the address of a discreet back alley clinic she had found online. The procedure was painful, brutal. She lay on the cold table, biting her lip to keep from screaming, feeling a profound, unwelcome sense of loss as the life inside her was taken away. But there was no remorse, only a cold, calculated relief. She went home, exhausted and in pain, and collapsed into bed. She was woken a few hours later by the sound of the closet door creaking open. The thug, her secret lover, emerged from the shadows. "How did you get in here?" she gasped. "I have my ways," he said, a greasy smile on his face. "I missed you, baby." He climbed onto the bed, his weight pressing down on her. She tried to push him away. "No, not now. I'm on my period." He grumbled, but he believed her. He was simple-minded that way. "Fine, but you owe me." He was still there, lurking in the closet, when Theo came home. Theo was carrying a bag of groceries. He had bought a whole chicken to make her soup. "You're still in bed?" he asked, his voice laced with a gentle concern. "Are you not feeling well?" "Just tired," she mumbled. He sat on the edge of the bed. He noticed she was clutching her stomach and her belly. It seemed flatter than it had that morning. A cold, ugly suspicion began to form in his mind. "What's wrong with your stomach?" he asked, his voice dangerously quiet. Did you go and get an abortion?" "No, don't be ridiculous," she snapped. He reached out to touch her stomach, but she swatted his hand away. "Don't touch me." He stood up, his face a mask of fury. "Your stomach is flat, Yvonne. It was round this morning. Tell me the truth." She knew she was caught. She burst into tears, the crocodile kind she was so good at. I had a miscarriage," she sobbed. "I started bleeding this afternoon, the doctor said. The doctor said the baby was gone." He stared at her, his heart a cold, dead weight in his chest. A miscarriage. His baby was gone. He didn't believe her, not really, but he wanted to. He needed to. He left the room, went downstairs, and called her doctor. "Hello, doctor. It's Theo, Yvonne's husband. She came in this afternoon. I just wanted to check. Is the baby okay?" "The baby is perfectly fine," the doctor said, his voice cheerful. "A little anemic, but healthy. I advised her against termination, and she went home." "Has something happened?" Theo hung up the phone. The lie, in all its ugly, brutal clarity, hit him with the force of a physical blow. She hadn't had a miscarriage. She had gone somewhere else. She had killed their child. He stormed back upstairs and ripped the blankets off her. "Get up! Get up and tell me the truth, you lying bitch." She cowered, her face pale with fear. I don't know what you're talking about." "You killed my baby," he roared, his voice breaking with a pain so profound it was almost inhuman. "You went and you killed our child. Why?" She slapped him then, a wild, desperate act of defiance. "Because it was a mistake. It was holding us back. We couldn't afford it." He slapped her back, twice, the sound echoing in the silent room. "You're a monster. A heartless, selfish monster." He turned and walked out, leaving her sobbing on the bed. He went to a bar and drank until he couldn't feel anything anymore. He stumbled through the city streets, a ghost in his own life, and ended up, as if by some homing instinct, in front of his mother's house. He didn't have a key, so he just sat down on the cold pavement and cried. The next morning, Eleanor found him there, asleep on her doorstep. She woke him gently, her face a mixture of worry and love. "Theo, my boy, what are you doing here?" He looked up at her, his eyes red and swollen, and the whole story came pouring out. She held him, stroking his hair, as if he were a little boy again. "Oh, my poor, stupid son. I knew she was no good. I knew it from the start." She took him inside, made him breakfast, and for the first time in a long time, he felt a flicker of hope. He was home. He went back to Yvonne's apartment to get his things. She was waiting for him, her eyes blazing with fury. "Where were you all night? You were with your mother, weren't you? What did she say to you?" "It's over, Yvonne," he said, his voice flat. "What do you mean, it's over?" she shrieked. "You can't leave me. Not after everything. You killed our child," he said, the words like stones in his mouth. There's nothing left to say. He packed his bags and left, not even looking back. His first day back at the office as a newly single man was a strange one. He saw me getting out of my new car, a sleek, black Lamborghini, a gift from Noah. I was dressed in a sharp, elegant suit, my hair styled in a way that made me look powerful and untouchable. I smiled at him, a bright, dazzling smile that didn't quite reach my eyes, the smile he had first fallen in love with. And in that moment, he felt a pang of regret so sharp it took his breath away. We ended up in the same elevator. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice cool and professional. He just nodded, unable to speak. "You look sad," I said, my head tilted to the side. "Is something wrong?" "No, I'm fine." The elevator doors opened. As I stepped out, I turned and smiled at him again. Good to hear it. "By the way, congratulations on stepping in that big pile of shit. I hope it was worth it." He stood there, stunned, as the doors slid shut. Later that day, he was in his office when Vanessa appeared in the doorway. She had changed. Her flashy, revealing clothes were gone. She was wearing a simple, elegant dress, her hair pulled back in a sophisticated bun. "Hello, Theo," she said, her voice soft. "Are you okay? I heard about what happened." She came in, closed the door, and took his hand. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. He was vulnerable, heartbroken, and she was there, offering comfort, a soft place to land. He was tired of fighting, tired of the drama, and in that moment, he just gave in. They went out for dinner that night. One thing led to another, and he ended up back at her apartment. Yvonne was stewing in her apartment, a toxic brew of anger and self-pity. She called Theo over and over, but his phone was off. Finally, around midnight, she got through. But it wasn't Theo who answered. "Hello?" It was Vanessa's voice, a smug, triumphant purr. Yvonne was speechless. Who is this?" "It's Vanessa, sweetie. Remember me?" "Theo can't come to the phone right now. He's sleeping. He's very tired. We had a very active evening." Yvonne screamed, a raw, animal sound of pure rage, and slammed the phone down. She was not going to be defeated. Not by her. She called the thug. "Get your boys. We're going to pay someone a visit." They stormed Vanessa's apartment building, a gang of angry, violent men, with Yvonne leading the charge. But Vanessa was smarter than she looked. She had anticipated this. The moment she heard the commotion in the hallway, she called the police. They were arrested in the lobby. a chaotic scene of shouting and shoving. When the police searched the thug and his friends, they found a significant quantity of illegal drugs. Yvonne was taken to jail. From her one phone call, she tried Theo, but he didn't answer. She was alone, abandoned, her life in ruins. The thug, to save his own skin, told the police everything about the drug ring he was a part of, about Yvonne's involvement, about how she had hired him to attack me. The whole sordid story came tumbling out. Yvonne, the innocent victim, was exposed as a manipulative, violent criminal. She was facing serious jail time. Theo, hearing the news, was horrified. He packed a bag, took his mother, and flew to the US to stay with his sister, trying to escape the mushroom cloud of chaos his life had become. A year passed. Yvonne was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Theo and his mother returned to Chicago. He was a changed man, humbled, quiet, remorseful. He and Vanessa were a couple now. She had transformed herself into the perfect, supportive, traditional girlfriend. She cooked for him, cared for his mother, and never once mentioned the past. Eleanor, seeing her son finally on a stable path, was content, but she still missed me. She called me often, telling me about Theo's transformation, about how he was finally growing up. I was happy for her, but my heart was still guarded. One evening, Noah came to my house. He was holding a single, perfect red rose. "It's been a year," he said, his eyes searching mine, "and I'm still single. Are you?" I smiled. "I am." "So," he said, taking a deep breath, "will you be my girlfriend?" Just then, my doorbell rang. It was Vanessa. She had come to invite me to a welcome home party for Theo and Eleanor. She saw Noah, saw the rose in his hand, and her face broke into a wide, genuine smile. "Congratulations," she said. "I'm so happy for you." I looked at her, at the woman who had once been my fiercest rival, and I felt a strange sense of peace. "Thank you, Vanessa," I said. "Thank you for everything." 3 years later, it was my wedding day. I stood in a beautiful white dress, looking out at the glittering Chicago skyline, Noah by my side. The room was filled with our friends and family. Eleanor was there, bouncing her 2 granddaughters on her knee. They were Vanessa and Theo's twin girls. Vanessa and Theo arrived, their arms full of 2 more babies, another set of twins, 4 children under the age of 3. They looked exhausted, happy, and utterly content. "Sorry we're late," Theo said, juggling a diaper bag and a fussy baby. "It's chaotic." Eleanor just laughed. "This is what you wanted, son. A house full of love." Theo came over and shook Noah's hand. "Congratulations, man. You take care of her. She's one of a kind." He looked at me, and for the first time in a long time, I saw the old Theo in his eyes, the kind, decent man I had once loved. But there was no regret, no sadness, only a quiet, peaceful acceptance. We had all been through the fire, and we had all, in our own ways, come out the other side. Scarred, yes, but stronger, wiser, and finally, at peace.